across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, yeah, it's the James Wells show, isn't it? And here's my mate's empty chair, and obviously we all know what's happened to my mate. 30 years in and outside of broadcasting, and tonight we're going to talk about him. We've got a few guests, and if you want to call in and tell us your memories as a listener, as someone who came in, even as a guest, whatever it is, we want to hear about it. So 0344 499 1000. You can leave a WhatsApp message, keep it to about a minute, because he's a bit slow on the old editor, and James isn't here to shout at him. So that's also 0344 499 1000. Tell us your memories. You know, some people listen to me and James for 30 years, but of course he's been going 50 years. He started, well, he was in Leeds. He was a big star in Leeds in Radio Air, and he was in Metro Radio for both these cities. He was there about 10, 15 years. And then, of course, he became, I'd never heard of him until I think about 88, 89, and his late night show, which was pioneering. You know, big shows. There was never a show like that. The Word came from it, and all shows, big shows, all stemmed from that James Wells show, and they said it would never work, and it was massive because, of course, there was nothing else on, but also it was brilliant. And he was like a ringmaster, James Wells. He'd have great guests, and he would control things. That was his secret. He was like, and you know, but also as a person, he was a lovely, he was a beautiful guy. He was warm. He was nothing like. He was you know, he really loved his family and friends, and he was always, you know, hanging out and yeah, so I mean, let's talk about the last time I met him was, well, actually it was an interview, and we're going to see that in a minute, but I did speak to him the day before he died. He died on the Monday, and I phoned Sunday. I said, I'm going to come down and see you. I left a voice message. I'm coming down tomorrow. And then it rang, and it said James Wells, and I picked it up, and it was a Lady W. It was Nadine saying he's, you know, he's now on... he was on the drugs, you know, but he was semi-conscious, and she put me on speaker, and I had about a minute just saying things, and she said he was smiling and stuff, so that was nice. And then the last time I actually saw him in the flesh, it was, well, Farage was down there, did his last interview, but it wasn't his last interview, because mine was his last interview. He actually really was asleep when I started it, but we missed that, so we sort of did it again. But anyway, enough about talking about it. Here is my little last chat and last ever interview of James Wells. I'm here at James Wales' trailer park garden, and he's having a little... Wales. All right, man.
No, what are you doing?
I brought some nibbles, man.
You know I don't like those. Take those away.
Not them. They're quite good.
I'm very ill. What are you doing here?
How are you, man? You all right? What's going on? You're not well.
Do you know, I find that when people ask you, you've got terminal cancer, and people
don't ask them how they are.
How they are is really annoying.
Because you'll get the right answer. Do you remember when we met? Do you remember?
You were an engineer.
Yeah, 1995, and they said we want to put you with James Wales, and I said, what, the director of Frankenstein, the 1930s horror movie? It's great. And they went, no, the rudest man in broadcasting. But I still thought it was great, because when I was a young kid, I used to watch your TV show. Yeah.
And you've been with me ever since?
Yeah, well, that's contractual.
How did I not get rid of you?
They tried, but they couldn't get rid of me.
But you know, Chuck, probably the best producer we've had.
He is. I mean, we should have had him years ago. It would have been.
Yeah, but we couldn't
afford him.
Producers on track.
No.
How did we keep you on track?
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, well, we got rid of all the other producers, so there was only me left. Do you remember? It was just me and you doing the show.
It was for a while until you messed it up.
But yeah, we've had quite a few interesting. Do you remember when the bomb squad turned up and I got in trouble for staying in the building with you because you made me? They evacuated the whole of Oxford Street around our building, and you said no, we carry on with the show. And I went out. I thought, well, this is a good time to have a fag in the stairwell. And there was a copper there, and he said, I can't go back in. And there you were, just left on air. And then the bosses heard. I wouldn't give him my name either, because back then you didn't have to. There was no terrorism acts. But
you were not.
That was your fault, though.
That was not my fault.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that we were being held up by a bunch of terrorists. I did what anybody would do. I locked the doors. You went
with me in it.
Yeah, but you ran out.
Well, because I needed a fag. It was very stressful.
You ran out the building, and I'd locked all the doors.
I couldn't get back in.
Eventually, I'm heading down the highway to wherever.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do then?
Yeah.
When I'm not doing.
Well, can we have an AI whale? Surely now's the time that they could make one. Use this footage and that, and.
Well, could you make it?
Well, I couldn't make it, but I could operate it once it's, you know, they make the software.
Why can't you
to
make
do everything I tell it? This is a good idea, actually. Yeah. Do you remember when you had a murderer who you were next on the list, and a crazed Iranian murderer? And you met him, actually. You cut him off, and then he met you in the car park, but you didn't know he was a murderer at that stage. And then
he got us all killed.
He murdered 2 surgeons in Leeds, and the police said, you're next on the list, didn't they? And well, they said, you said, what are you going to do? And they go, well, we're just telling you. I mean, they don't even help you out. You couldn't even carry your bow and arrow.
Well, I could carry it, but they said I couldn't shoot the guy, and it seemed a bit pointless.
Exactly.
If you couldn't use it.
And then we got a letter saying, you know, oh, we're releasing him from prison just to let you know. And that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. Do you remember a lot of, you couldn't do it now, but we had a lot of politically incorrect names like the newsreader Nicky Knockers.
Sorry, hang on. I'm just chilling in the garden. Relaxing.
Well, I was just, let's get, where's the crisps gone? Here we go. Have another crisp. Yeah.
I'm reminiscing in the garden. There was never anybody called
No, it was
Knickers
just a reflection
Knockers.
on the different times. There was, I remember the travel was the guy who did the traffic news, and we actually got an official complaint from him, which was unusual. People didn't complain about it. He was ahead of the times in 1997. And of course, there was the phone operative, who I still can't remember her name, just a name on air, Sugar Lips. Producers Dominatrix, Butch Bavin, Pretty Peter, Sebastian, Jonathan.
Did we give people these names?
Well, you did, I think, in the main. Yeah.
Would have been my fault.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you come from an even earlier time, in the 70s, when that was whole part of the thing, wasn't it? Really, you sort of discovered Derek Acora because he first came on our show, and the board would fill up with old ladies, and he'd say the same, could do 3 hours, just him doing calls, and we'd just sit there like that. And you'd hear him going, oh yeah, your dog's got a problem with its ears, hasn't he? Well, it hasn't at the spirit world, I'll tell you that. And then they'd go, well, no, the dog never had, I never had a dog with an ear problem.
Derek Acora was quite interesting.
He was strange, wasn't he? He was a bit strange. You heard the story? He attacked Dr. Dave Bull. He attacked him and strangled him. And he said it was because spirit had taken over him. It wasn't his fault.
I thought Dave Bull was still alive.
Anyway, man, this is the first in a series of chats with me and James Wales.
I can assure you it's not.
Go on, have a crisp. Go on, bubbler. So have you anything to say about how great it is that to be working with me for all these many years? It must have been amazing for you.
You know, I tried to find something to put in the autobiography.
But oh yeah.
I couldn't find one thing good.
There's more pictures of his horse than me. There's not one picture of me. There's a picture of his horse.
Say about you.
Yeah, nothing.
In the autobiography.
At least a little picture. Anyway, man. All right. Thanks for a great 30 years. I'm going to miss you, Bubba.
Oh.
Yeah, that was it was lovely. It was a lovely interview. I mean, obviously it wasn't. Well, it was planned that we were going to do it. We didn't know what we were going to say, and so that sort of epitomises our relationship. And I'm talking, by the way, not to myself or the wall. It's Lizzie Cundy and Andre Walker who are here. We're all going to reminisce because we all played big parts in his life. And by the way, Dr. Dave Bull, I must confirm, he is still alive.
He is.
For anyone worrying, Derek Acora did strangle him, but he survived. He was just overtaken by spirit. But that was it was lovely in that garden, and you know, you could see how ill he was, but he was still sharp as a, you know, he did pick up, didn't he, when he knew he was working. That was obviously sort of work. He loved it, didn't he?
He did, and I think
energised
that
him.
Was such a beautiful. I know it's so sad to be the last interview, but you just see the chemistry you guys had, and you just how you spar off each other.
That was a secret, wasn't it?
It was.
We both didn't realise that we had it. Well, we did as well, but it's sort of subconscious, isn't it? You don't realise, but you know it. You do have it. It's quite a weird thing.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's very rare, very special. special, and you guys had it, and it,
that's what kept us, I think, together. Just because we enjoyed doing the show. You know, we didn't get paid amazing amounts, but we just loved doing it, and that was why it lasted so long.
I have to say, it's great to see you two chatting, and I'll tell you the reason, because it's amazing when somebody who is a titan of broadcasting dies. The number of close personal friends he had, the number of people he mentored, the number of people he was like a father to. There were people who'd never even met him who'd taken to the airwaves to say that they were.
That's always the way, isn't it?
there were so many, but I've never
Well,
seen
a lot of actual friends,
there were
as
a lot
well.
of, and there were many tributes, like he wrote for the Daily Express, which you know about, but the whole page
And the Sunday, the sport as well, back in the
Now,
90s.
can I tell you my great story about him?
Yeah, he wrote for the sport, a Wednesday column. Yeah.
I nominated him for the MBE, which was great.
Yeah, that was great, man.
And I'll tell you what was...
He loved that. That was probably
one of his greatest moments.
It was, yeah. I'll tell you what was amazing about it, and I've got to give full credit to this whole floor full of journalists. We went, right, the most important thing is we can't leak that it's going to happen. And I was about to say, surprisingly, I was about to use the B word, but surprisingly, what arrived from the palace was this. It said, on His Majesty's service, from the Honour Secretariat, the Cabinet Office, to Mr James Whale. And it must have sat where that post is for about a month with people walking past.
Well, we've had job applications from people who have now retired from business.
Chuck Thomas, the producer, went, do you reckon anyone would know what it is? Yes. But then the great thing was, when he opened it, it said, to Mr James Whale, you have been nominated for an MBE, can you send back this slip? You have to send it back within 4 weeks. We'd wasted about 3 of them, having lost the letter. But anyhow, but here's the great bit. It said, if there are any spelling mistakes in your name, can you correct them now? And he went, yeah, there is a spelling mistake. What's that? My name's not James. What?
Yeah.
And I went, oh, right. He said, my name's Michael. And I went, oh, what, Michael James? He went, no.
Because it has to be his official name. I mean, James Whale was his name, really.
It was his showbiz name, but his real name was Michael.
You can say this now because the MB dies with the person that has the MB.
Can't I have it?
But, well, you can have the medal. But here's the amazing thing. We were really worried that he was going to die before it was awarded. So we didn't want anything to slow it down. So we never told him his name was Michael. We didn't tell him.
Just get it.
So literally, it was awarded to him in his wrong name. But he did manage to make it to the palace. Which
he did make it, and we've got to thank, he's watching tonight, Charlie Mullins, who gave
what a night
his
at Langan's.
roller. He gave the Rolls Royce.
Lovely guy, generous
him
man.
and his lovely Lady W.
I'll tell you something. So I phoned Charlie and said, can you help with this? And obviously he did the Langan's thing, but he did so much more than what I was expecting, because I thought he'd...
Well, he does a lot more. He does plumbing, brickwork, painting.
Without being funny, I thought he'd buy a couple of shandies.
Anyway, look, we got loads of calls.
Do you know, the Sun reported that he spent 80 grand on that dinner.
And the rest.
I'll tell you something that was amazing. When James and his brother left Coworth Park in Ascot to go, and those 2 cars... I don't know much about cars.
A Rolls Royce and a Bentley.
Unbelievable.
And you know what? He said to me that was one of his finest moments, getting that.
Of course.
Well, the thing that Charlie Mullins did, which was, I think, incredible. It's easy to nominate somebody for an honour, right? Especially somebody who's been in broadcasting for 50 years. But the fact we had the whole day of it, that was Mullins.
It was a great party, wasn't it? Anyway,
Charlie, thank you.
Let's get your calls in 0344 499 1000. I want to hear your memories, because I can't remember it, and I want to be reminded of, you know, if you were listening in the 90s or 2000s or any things that happened that you remember, and you can voice
Can we watch the UFO man?
Well, yeah, we'll get that later. Terry Topping, he threw out the UFO. He upset him because he was up. Let's talk to Paula, the caller in Halifax. Hi, Paula.
Oh, hello, Ash. How are you doing?
Sorry? How's things?
How are you doing?
We're all right, yeah. I mean, you know, at times it hits you, doesn't it?
We're sad, Paula.
I'm not sad all the time because I have great memories, but sometimes it does hit you, doesn't it? Yeah.
Can I answer that, Paula? Can I tell you something, Paula? Let me just say this to you.
You can't, Andre.
I was going to tell you.
I'm talking to Lizzie and Ash. Lizzie.
You've hurt his feelings.
Lizzie, I saw your Lizzie.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
I saw you on Monday on Talk in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh, and you said that it was like a dad to you.
Yeah.
it was
Grandad.
It was like a father to me, and he actually said to me I was like the daughter he never had, and I think that's why he always wanted to kind of look after me. And though I know he told me off a majority of the time.
He did, didn't he? You shouldn't work there.
You
shouldn't be working
do up
there.
another button. What are you wearing? But he really genuinely cared about me, and he'd watch everything I did, and he'd ring me afterwards and tell me how I could improve.
But you were there for him.
Yeah.
He loved telling people what to do.
I know, but I enjoyed it.
But in a nice way.
It was great advice.
He was trying to help. He was helping.
It was tough love, but he was very encouraging. And actually, when I had my marriage split, he was the first to be there.
Can you not hear the caller?
No, I need to leave.
What I was going to say, Asha, I think a real tribute needs to be paid to you for going round all the studios and doing the tributes that you've done to him. Because the thing is, a lot of people saw the James Whale show, but they didn't see him up in detail like you did. Yeah. And I think it was good. And you appeared on Farage. You appeared on what have you done this week?
The Times Radio. I was on Kev's show and. Russell Quirk and
it is quite emotional at times. Do you think you're strong?
It's good catharsis though, doing the interviews, because you think of different things. Sorry, hi Paula. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought I'd been cut off.
Well, nearly.
But no. No. Oh, well, you would have, Andre. You need to visit you.
Look, you two, you get two Northerners together, especially.
Why did we put the first call an obnoxious old bastard?
Oh, stop.
Sorry, Paula.
Paula's lovely.
No, it's all right. It don't bother me in the slightest. So, I don't know do you know who I think should fill his shoes?
Who's that?
You, Ash.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I think you should have...
Well, I'm here now, and we've got his chair here, so...
Correct.
All right, Paula, thanks for your call. Give us a ring, 03444991000 with your memories of James Wales. No, I won't. You say it's Whale when I said Wales. That's why I did it. Heather in Govan.
Hello, Ash.
Right.
Do you remember going way back in 75 when Yorkshire Ripper, the Peter Sutcliffe case, was about in Leeds, Bradford?
Yeah, but it was sort of came to the fore in the 80s, because I was only 4 then, but I remember...
Well, he was working when...
That's right, he was working in Leeds, wasn't he?
Ripper was working,
That's right.
and it's the 50th years when Wilma McCann was the first of the Yorkshire Ripper case happened on Yorkshire TV, and when James Whale was working on his radio station, Jack the Ripper, Yorkshire Ripper, Peter Sutcliffe, was on a really big rampage of Yorkshire and Manchester and Lancashire area of the area.
I remember. I mean, he started those murders in the early 70s, but actually it didn't come to the fore until they realised it was in sort of the late 70s, because I remember when it sort of was massive news, people couldn't go out, they realised there was this one guy. So you used to listen to James, in Leeds, did you?
Yeah, he was working at Yorkshire TV and he was working at Radio Studios.
Yeah, he had that Night Owls show, didn't he? The Night Owls.
Yeah.
Which he stole from someone else. That's what you do.
The beginning of the 80s in Yorkshire TV when they got Peter Sutcliffe in 81.
He supported Margaret Thatcher during the miners' strike on a radio station in Yorkshire. I'm surprised he lived as long as he did.
He went to Stringfellows with Thatcher.
Do you know what? He did, and he introduced me to Peter Stringfellows. That's how I got friendly through James Whale. He used to get me into Stringfellows.
Oh, that means that the two of them now are up in heaven with Thatcher. Can you imagine? Peter Stringfellow, James Whale and Margaret Thatcher.
They will be having some conversation.
Thanks then, Heather. Let's go to Wayne, the Lincolnshire poacher. Hi, Wayne, because you used to ring in a lot, and he used to sort of have a go at you, didn't he? Sort of had a go at you. I used to like it, though, when you called in.
I did. Well, I made the mistake, Ash, by... First of all, good evening, Andre. Good evening,
hello,
young lady.
Hi.
Lizzie, yeah.
Young lady.
Yes, well, we had this love-hate situation, me and Jane.
You loved him and he hated you. Yeah.
Yes, I remember what happened is when I got fascinated by you as the years went by, and I accidentally phoned up one day. I said, hey, can I have... And he asked, I said, James, can I have your permission, please, so I could talk to Ash?
Well, that's the worst thing to wind him up if you ever say that.
Well,
he doesn't like
yeah,
it.
but
didn't
it
like that
turned
at all.
into a love-hate situation. So
Yeah.
I stopped calling,
Yeah.
right, because it gave me such a bad time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I phoned up on a Christmas, and the lady said, "Oh, Wayne, where you been?" I said, "It's only a courtesy to call. Merry Christmas, etc." I said, "Oh, no, seriously, James, don't take it to heart."
Exactly, he loved you. You know what I mean? It was just that was the way he was on air. You know, he was because he was an actor originally. He was in Z Cars. He was
Yeah.
sort of did,
Yes.
and he was a method actor. He used to wind himself up
He
sometimes
did
before the show.
a little movie with Luke Goss.
Luke Goss, yeah, and Matt Lucas. He did Cold and Dark, and he did another one, a sort of
He
horror.
always played a bit of a gangster or a bit of a heavy.
He did, yeah, because he looked a bit like Phil Mitchell. And I remember I taught him how to smoke because he had to smoke as the gangster, and he
He always played a hard nut, but he
thing
loved
is, though,
acting. He really
I
loved
wouldn't have
acting.
wanted it any other way. I really wouldn't. And do you know what? I remember watching Simon Cowell doing a talk, and he got asked why he's so rude. And his words were, "Well, have you heard James Whale?"
Yeah.
So I think Simon got that off that.
Oh yeah, well we had him on. We had him on quite. I mean, you're a friend of his, Simon Cowell. And he came in. He used to before he was big in America. He was doing X Factor.
Yeah.
He actually used to call in first of all, and then we got him in as a guest. And he was a really nice guy. And he was a big fan of talk radio, and he was a big fan of politics. And he wanted to do a show. He wanted to do a talk sort of politics show. He was really into that. But yeah, he really and he did
But
nick a lot of
Simon-
James Whale. Stuff
He
for
did.
us because it works,
He
doesn't
did.
it? People love listening to angry people.
Can I
And
just
That's
say
it.
one more
Simon
thing,
Cowell said
please?
to me.
Oh, okay, then.
That is Mr. Nasty. You know when he was labelled that, he got off James
That's right,
Whale.
yes.
Yeah.
And Andre, do you know what, guy? I'm really pleased that you sat there. I couldn't, in my eyes, now I've got to know you, your personality. I couldn't have anybody to sit next to us better than yourself.
Well, it's been-
I hated you. I hated you when I first met you years ago when we talked, and I remember our first chat, the conversation actually, and I thought, what an ass. But as I've got to know you, and you say things that I'm saying to myself, I really now up there with Ash.
Well, I'll
And
tell you what my honest view on it is. People kind of are quite shocked and critical when I say that I wasn't friends with James. But what you have to understand is I came into this a lot later than Lizzie or Asher. And so I came in really for when James was off sick. So I was incredibly, I was amazed because he chose me as the person that kind of would take over when he wasn't there. Now, there was no reason for him to do that. And obviously I nominated him for the MB because I was pleased with it. But what I've tried to do with all of this is step out the way and let Asher do his thing because he's his mate. He's the one who's been there 30 years, and I'm somebody who's just come at the last minute.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And Ash, you've got a fantastic brain, and please, the hell out of Andre, please do not stop.
All right, cheers, Wayne. Nice one, man. What's Wayne? He's been in prison twice for not paying his television licence. You'd
Surname
think the
Kerr.
second time you'd just
Well,
at least
he
not
can't
answer
by the first
at least
time.
don't answer the door.
Or pretend.
Right, we've got a message here I've got to read out. I've no idea if is this the High Ash one or hot. Oh, I've no idea if this will work. I'm watching the last little interview with Ash and James Whale. I've listened to James for years before Talk, but I enjoyed watching him on Talk TV since it all began. I'm happy that I phoned in and spoke to him briefly just before he passed over. The chemistry between James Whale and so many quite diverse characters was phenomenal. I'm sure James will be loving everyone talk about him, and he will be tuned in spiritually. Fly high, dear James. You'll never be forgotten. That's from Jill Chartel, and I feel him around. You know, that
I
sort
do.
of stops you being really up.
Well, there's no way that this channel would exist without James Whale because that idea of debating and whatever. Hey, by the way, I did want to say one thing that is a huge tribute to James Whale. The paper of record in this country is the Times. They did a full page obituary.
Oh, he was in all of them, yeah.
Kings,
Yeah, he was in all
most
of them.
kings and royals and
yeah.
Presidents of
He would have
countries
loved that.
will
He-
not get
Well, the
that.
king of late
James.
night talk radio. Anyway,
love
look, we're
that.
going to take a break. 03444991000. Ring us at Talk, and we'll get you on. We'll ring you back, and also you can send a WhatsApp message on that. We're just going to talk about all your memories of James Whale, and I've got Lizzie and Andre, and we're all just chilling out. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, so we're remembering James Well and what happened on air. Give us a ring, 0344. We've got a few lined up, but we'll still get you on. We'll ring you back. Leave messages if you're a bit shy and keep it under a minute. 03444 99 1000 on WhatsApp. I've got Andre and Lizzie here. We're going to talk about Whale, but here is just a little taster, a little 3-minute package that Chuck made. I'm slightly overweight and my face is a bit green, but let's have a look at this.
How you doing?
Good. Now, what do you want?
I don't want anything.
Thank you very much indeed.
Every night from 10 till 2, Whaley's on the line for you. Give me a ring. I'll be there, the mega mouth of radio air.
£300.
Let me just stop you for one moment. This was a section that was called Call Biggins. Did you want to ask a question to Christopher Biggins?
No.
Right.
Where's your buzzer?
No, I've got the friggin' buzzer in here.
Everybody's good at cooking something, and I'm good at cooking crumble. Would you like some? Well, would you then?
Yes. How do you get such attractive women around you, Stanley? How does this work? I mean, what is there? What is there?
I feel very, very privileged.
And don't it feel good?
Yeah!
Happy birthday to you.
I don't give a stuff whether she likes the show or not.
Most people who watch this show don't like it. That's a fact.
That's what happens.
That's what you get when you commentate your you show your small nipples.
As far as I know, that kind of animal doesn't have any testicles.
He has.
No.
They're just under the desk.
There they are. I choose not to show them.
Do you remember, Sweet, when we went out to that nightclub in London called Stringfellows? Yeah, I thought you would. My new vagina is so tight it squeaks when I walk.
So what I'm going to do is...
you
really
can't.
Squeaks,
no.
Okay, let's try this now. Is it squeaking?
It is squeaking. I get a sense with him that he is he's a sensitive guy as well.
I remember listening to you, the midnight show. You were fantastic then.
Yeah, but if you heard it now, you'd probably think it was rubbish.
Did you get rid of him now?
When you hear shows that you hear in the past, you go, why didn't I think that was good?
Go on, take him up, get him up out the seat, move him out of the door. Lizzie Cundy has now kicked out Vladimir Putin. Call us, 0344 499 1000. Did you come here legally?
We actually managed to sneak in. Yeah.
Call the police.
I don't think you realise what you're saying. You're being insulting and rude.
That's the whole point of the restaurant.
Yeah, but it's not very pleasant.
No, well, you don't go there. It's like watching this. Don't go breaking my heart.
I couldn't if I tried.
Oh, honey, I can't hear that
Wait for the beat, man.
You rang up for the text number.
To go live on air just to ask us for the...
Why the hell would you ring up for the text number?
Why didn't you just ask...
I thought I'd be able to speak to somebody to get it.
Well, we don't have that many people working here on this show. We're bloody busy.
Hold on, you wanted to go live on air to ask the question about that?
You're on air now. What is the question you wanted to ask?
She wants to know the text number. She just said it.
Oh, no,
87222, text the word talk in your message.
But what for? You're just shush. You're both get their mics on.
87222.
Right. So what is
the word talk at the beginning?
Oh, you must be really wealthy, James, to be able to get a good-looking lady like that when you're such a miserable, horrible sod. Well, she was very nice of them, really, but...
we get that all the time.
Yeah, well,
Oh, sadly, he's not, but I like him anyway.
James, one thing on my bucket list, I must be cut off by James Well. Could you please...
And you know...
I love you.
When my time has come and I'm sadly gone, that people will talk about me and they will go back and show that.
Yeah.
And that's what I will be remembered for. That is exactly what I will be remembered.
And that is what has happened. We've shown that, what he said. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. It's me and Andre and Lizzie. We're going to talk about the Great Whale and memories of the show. And let's start with Teresa in Devon. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Ash.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Because you used to call us in, didn't you? You used to call us in, didn't you?
I've called twice. I've spoke to the doctor, but I'm just calling in because
I've listened to James Well for 31 years.
Wow.
I know exactly how long.
Probably traumatised.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, definitely not.
A lot of people actually, it was like therapy to them. I got a lot of emails saying I used to work the nights, or and this was I had depression, and it helped me get through all that. Obviously, it made some people worse, but you know, swings and roundabouts.
It makes so much sense. You made so much sense. But firstly, what I'd like to say to Andre is, I think a couple of calls away, I didn't really like. I don't know the woman's name, but I don't like how she dismissed and just wanted to speak to Ash and.
She was very hurtful. Yeah. But what's your memories about James? Because you know we're just trying to make this.
Memories about James.
We don't want to have a fight.
We're not having a fight. It's lovely memories.
It's not a wedding.
I think you all work very, very brilliantly together, and I just love watching you, all of you. And I think you have so much love for him, as I do, listening to him. And immediately, I thought I've loved immediately as I saw you, Andre. I loved you as just you.
You feel better now.
But nobody. The big problem you're always going to have in my position, to a greater extent than you guys. Sitting in his chair when he's off sick is impossible, because you are not going to be as good as him.
We're never going to be. There's only one James Well.
All you can do is beg the audience to forgive you.
No.
That's all you can do.
Anyway, let's go to Caroline in Wakefield. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Ash. Hi, Lizzie.
Is this Monkey?
It's Monkey.
It's Monkey, our friend.
Monkey.
Well, you knew James. You and Lizzie took him up for the Trick Awards when he won the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, can I say, a lot to do with Monkey was the Trick Awards.
She was behind all that, wasn't she?
In that,
yeah.
and then we all had to keep it secret, squirrel, and usually I'm like
Monkeys
the town
and squirrels.
Secret squirrel.
That was a good night as well, wasn't it?
That was a great night. We celebrated after.
So explain who Monkey is.
So Caroline Monk, a dear friend of mine, but very close with James Well, and
she's been in the business. You do a lot in the business.
She's done amazing work with charities, and she's just such a great person inside and out. But she was instrumental in getting the Trick Award. 50 years of broadcasting.
I'll tell you the strangest thing that I saw.
She was married to Matthew Wright.
Is
that Mbungo? Can we say that?
Right.
She wasn't married.
You weren't married? That's even worse. She wasn't married.
Can I say to you,
she lived in sin with Matthew Wright.
She lived in sin.
The strangest thing I heard. Right, and this is
that's pretty strange.
This is absolutely true. No, this is stranger than Matthew Wright, and that's a high bar.
That's saying something.
Right, but James Whale, right? So James Whale used to be archery partners with Theo Pathetis from Dragons.
He was the under-16 Surrey champion.
Yes, and with Shane Ritchie.
Shane Ritchie, Theo Pathetis, the Scottish,
the big.
What's his name?
I can't remember.
We'll find out.
When I saw Theo Pathetis at that party, I thought, how does he know Theo Pathetis? They're archery partners. That's like one of the weirdest things.
But look, back to Monkey. Back to Monkey very quickly. Look, Monkey, thank you for helping get that Trick Award, and James so deserved it. 50 years of broadcasting, but it was
and we got the Icon Award.
And the Icon Award as well. He loved an award, James, and it really meant the world to him getting these awards. He absolutely loved it.
He'd say, I don't care about it, and then he loved it when he got
Can I just? I want to just say this. I think the reason he liked the awards so much was not actually vanity. He didn't think people had noticed him.
It's true, actually. He really didn't really care about awards, because often he won so many awards, but not really much when we were around, because, you know,
even his
and he didn't really care, but he did like it when he did get recognition.
Even his autobiography was called Almost Famous.
Almost a celebrity,
So I think he always thought of himself as like, you know, do you remember that Japanese soldier that was still fighting the war years later, and nobody ever took any notice?
Yeah, but that book, there was only a picture of his horse in and not me. Anyway, thanks, Caroline.
That was you.
I did look like his horse.
But that Trick Award was one hell of a night, and he was very emotional.
And do you remember after it?
But I rarely saw James shed a tear, but he did that night.
Do you know, when I walked into the Trick Awards, Lizzie walked in, the cameras went wild, James walked in, the cameras, I walked past, there wasn't even one bulb, not even one, and I thought next year I'm getting somebody with a strobe.
And then Hugh Edwards went up and claimed his award. And enough of that, though. Let's go to Deborah in Oldham. What's your memories, Deborah?
Hiya, darling. I don't really have any memories, but he was a bit obnoxious, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was his shtick, wasn't it? That was his shtick.
Oh, but you know now, I can cry.
Oh.
Yeah, because underneath it, he was a lovely man. You know, he was a gruff, a bit like the old Mike Dickin. He was sort of a lovely, grumpy man.
He got upset if he offended people. I saw that.
Oh, yeah, he didn't like that, yeah. He was a soft bloke underneath, you know, it was a defence mechanism in a way.
Oh, honestly, God. And you know something? When I look at you and, well, Ash and James, that video was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was natural,
and
wasn't it?
they've got, as I say, they're very rare to have that special chemistry that you guys had. And it was really weird because I saw, when I saw James on Friday at the hospice, he kept saying to me, how's Ash? How is Ash though? How is it? And he kept asking.
Did you want to see me? Because I did get to speak to him
just
the
said,
day
is he
before.
all right? He just wanted to know you're all right, and it was a lovely, lovely.
Well, I know.
friendship
I did
as
speak
well
to
as-
him literally hours before he went, and he heard me and smiled. So
he
that's
loved
very
you.
comforting.
And he
Anyway,
loved you.
thanks, Deborah. Let's go to Mark East London. Oh no, we're going to go to Mark East London in a couple of minutes. Stay where you are.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. We're reminiscing. We're talking about all your great James Whale memories. It's it's all your calls, and we've got Lizzie and Andre. Lizzie, we haven't really talked about how you met him, how you came into his life or each other's lives, and what's tell us your story about you and Whale.
Yeah,
how did you meet?
I met James Lee 30 years ago, a long time ago, and my ex...
Where did you meet? What?
Do you know what? We met at a curry restaurant in
Doesn't surprise
Surrey.
me, yeah.
And
a curry in Surrey.
We had a curry in Surrey, and James loved curry.
He did,
used to say it brings everyone together.
Well, he made the Curry Awards,
And
didn't
he
he, for
made
his
the Curry
cancer charity,
Awards.
and they were brilliant. They were great.
And we used to always have these curry nights, but at the time, my ex-husband Jason sadly got testicular cancer at a very
He's
young
done some
age.
great tributes to James.
Yeah,
as well.
at the age of 27,
Yeah.
and it was.
They had a
awful.
bond, didn't they? And they hung out quite a lot.
They hung out, and James was really great to us both, and showed a lot of love, and said really supportive. And then we got a call that James had kidney cancer, and
25 years ago, the first time, and he cleared that. Yeah.
And he just said, "Look, Lizzie, I'm going to start this charity. Could you help me out?" So I said, "Of course I will. Let's write some names." And he said, right, I'll just leave it all to you, which he did. He left the whole thing for me to do.
Yeah, exactly,
but we had these amazing names. Nigel Farage, remember then, Max Clifford, but Shane Ritchie.
We had the women from Sheila's Wheels. Do you remember them? I remember
Indeed.
sitting on the table with Sheila's Wheels.
Sheila's Wheels.
But all these names came to this very small little curry house in Surrey, all came
That was
for
the
James.
first one. It got bigger and bigger, didn't
Daniel
it?
Lloyd, there was all
That's
sorts
right,
of people.
yeah.
And it got in every newspaper.
Yeah.
And James went, wow, you're not bad at this, Lizzie, getting us
And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, bigger venues, didn't it? Yeah.
And James used to say curry brings people together. He'd have these curry nights. We also had the great, British Curry Awards.
Yeah.
And that was the one time James went on stage and said, look, I'm not going to be at the next one. I haven't got long. And then James.
He was about the next 2 or 3, yeah.
And then he said, Lizzie, get a table for the the British Curry Awards. I said, James, I can't. You told them last time you were dead. They're going to go, what's going on? But he was, to me, I don't get upset, but he was like a father.
But his oncologist jumped up in the end and said, I just want to confirm he's definitely ill. Because he kept going for that long.
He did, and he kept defying. And when he first told me when the cancer had come back, I had the call actually from Denny, and I said,
who's our boss?
You're the boss. And I called James, and he said, Lizzie, I've only got 3 months. And it's unbelievable
years, didn't he, after
that James from then has had 5. Yeah,
well,
nearly 5 years.
we are going to go to calls for apologies.
Well, no, because Lizzie's done a bit of homework. She's done some clips for us.
Can I just say one thing that is a tribute to James, that he went on for so long because he was taking all these experimental treatments in order to help people in the future, which I think is an amazing thing.
We had a great Tom Powers was his surgeon, who was amazing, wasn't he? He really kept him going. And he came to the MBE Awards. He became great friends with James.
He became great friends. And James used to say, how long have I got? And he'd just say
he gave up in the end.
Just keep going.
He gave up, didn't he? Telling him, because he said he wouldn't make next Christmas probably, and then he did make next 2. Anyway, tell us your first clip that you did.
So many funny moments with James Whale. We all had such a giggle. Saturday nights here was such a laugh. But I've been looking about my favourite clips of James, and I think the first one is when James accused me of having a bum lift.
We had the evidence.
You told me you'd never had any work done to your body. That's what you told me.
Massaging. I've had the bum lift. Now, I didn't know what to expect. I was a little bit apprehensive, but it's something that I really felt I needed. My bottom felt stronger.
I can't believe you're doing this.
Let me have a look.
I can't believe you're doing this to me.
You deserve every minute of it. I mean, after what you've done.
My bottom felt stronger. What was that about?
Nuts there now.
I can indeed.
It would, wouldn't it?
Can I tell you, that was just a massage. The girls did a massage.
Bum lift.
Into my
It was a
bottom.
bum lift.
I haven't had a bum lift.
You just said I've had a bum lift.
It was a massage.
I'll play it again.
No, I'll play a bum lift. Now, I didn't know what to expect. I was a little bit apprehensive, but it's something that I really felt I needed. My bottom felt stronger.
Bum lift. You've had a bum
My
lift.
My bottom felt stronger. No, I haven't had a bum lift.
Yes.
I promise you.
She said it again. Look.
It doesn't matter if I did.
Not had a bum lift.
It doesn't matter if I did, but I haven't.
I didn't know what to expect. I was a little bit apprehensive, but it's something that I really felt I needed. My bottom felt stronger.
Judge Rinder be able to
Judge Rinder, this isn't
I've seen
fair.
Judge Rinder. Well,
I have
easy.
not had
Easy.
a
Let's
bum
see
lift.
Judge Rinder try and get you out of
It was
that.
a massage. It was a massage.
I make an exceptionally good barrister, by the way. Nobody would get through me.
I can't believe my boys and mother are watching
I
this.
am very, very sorry, Mike.
I'm sorry, Mother.
She mentioned your teeth, and I felt it was only right to do
I think
that.
it's important, because
That was very
I've had
unfair.
these teeth all my life.
I don't know if
I don't take them out and put them in a glass of water.
I can't believe this. We're going to have to take a little break, actually,
I have
right
not
here.
had a bum lift.
I'm not going to go. She's had a bum lift. Yeah. Yes.
I think you should get
keep
one.
that coming
I
whenever
missed
she
Sam
says
Fox's wedding for this.
50 little pricks in your bottom, that's how they do it, isn't it? And
Can I
you
just
deny
say,
it, and then we've got
I
you
have
saying
not had a bum lift.
it. We've got video. Well,
I have not had a bum
didn't
lift.
look like you, I bet.
Do you know what? Whenever I said to James, like, don't tell anyone
He'd love
this,
this now,
he would then go and say it, but I really didn't have
Okay,
a bum
well,
lift.
we've got to go straight to your next clip.
Okay.
Tell us what your next clip is.
Now, James stormed out of the studio after interviewing a woman who married a cat.
I remember this, yeah. I remember
Do you remember this?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Oh, now I've had enough of you. Go. No, off the air now. No, I have had
This is
enough.
your way of going.
I
like,
have
I'm
had
just gonna drop
enough.
my pen.
You're in here under you shush. You're in here under false pretences. You've made up a story to get on the air. I have now had enough of you.
6 years doing all the
I've had
stories.
enough of you, and you need to be treated like this by the media because you're a pain in the backside. You're not even really in any charge of you. You don't know what you're talking about. You've got some stupid. Could you come and remove this guest, please, now? No, we can't keep her for another 10 minutes. I don't have the patience to
James,
keep
why
her
have
for
you gone
another
right aggressive
10
on me?
minutes. I'm not aggressive. I've
But
got
you
more
are.
important things to do.
I don't. I think about people's lives.
Oh, for goodness sake. If you're not taking her, I'm going. Because I've had enough, to be honest. I don't... And I'm serious about this, guys.
Okay, that's
I've had
fine.
enough. Get rid of her.
Yeah, she looked like Boy George, didn't she? She went
Oh
on
my
lots
God,
of different
she
shows.
does look like Boy
She went on lots of different shows.
Hold on, Boy George is on the phone,
masquerading
not
as
happy about that.
masquerading as
No, but
various
can I
different
tell
things.
you, if
Yeah.
James wasn't happy,
She got any
he
handcuffs?
didn't care. He would throw
Yeah,
you
but
out
normally
the
he
studio.
threw them out. This was the only time he threw himself out.
He left the studio
Yeah,
himself.
what's your next? Let's get
but
your next clip in.
Can I tell you? I think this is my favourite.
Yeah.
It's when we all dance to the Whaley rap.
I remember this. Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
I
Let's
said
have a-
all the women crazy.
Yeah, guys, come on.
Got charm, got style. The man in me stands out a mile. I'm the one who knows it all. So listen up and hear the call. Listen good to what I say and live your life the Whaley way. Don't be stupid. Show this man the whale experience. I'm on the Joe. I'm on the other. Man in the whole world.
Actually, I've changed my mind. It's rubbish, isn't it? Get rid of this crap.
I beg your pardon.
No, it's great. No, I love it. Yeah. It needs a remix, though. It needs an update.
We're going to take a break for the break. And
It's
then,
good then, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we gone, have we? Oh, right. OK, Charlie.
And we are going to take a break. 0344 499 1000. Your memories of Whale on Talk. We'll be back in just over a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yep, it's Talk. We're reminiscing about James Whale. We're going to whip through your calls because there's so many, and yeah, we're going to do that. And special thanks as well, of course, to Lady W. Nadine, who looked after him, nursed him throughout his time, and he said every time he did his podcast how he couldn't have done it without her, and I don't think he could
Tales
have.
of the Whales.
I mean, she was amazing.
He found
what
real
she did.
happiness there, didn't he?
He did. That's what's also sad about it, but it was amazing how she was around.
Hadn't they bonded over the fact their previous partners had died of cancer?
Yeah, they both their partners.
He says it was the happiest
but it was the happiest time, and she really.
And they had that great podcast, which was helped a lot of people. The Tales of the Whales. It's still on there. You can hear all the.
Because I'll be honest with you, he was depressed that he couldn't come into the studio, and the fact they were able to do that from home, I think, kept him going.
Well, he said to me so many times that work kept him going, kept him focused, kept him living longer. But Nadine was so amazing because she went to every hospital appointment with him, was by his side.
You're getting emotional.
Don't get emotional. Anyway, look,
and she's a wonderful woman, and I know she's watching, and we love her.
Hello, Lady W. Hello, Nadine. Thinking of you. Let's go to Richard in Leeds. Richard, what's your memories?
Hey there. I remember him from back in the day on Radio Air, phoning in years and years and years ago. Then got back into watching him when he come on talkTV.
Yeah.
One of my fondest memories is we got into an argument one night.
You don't say.
And he was screaming at me to shut up, and I was screaming, "No, you shut up."
Yeah.
It went on and on, but then
I tried that. It doesn't
the
work.
following year, you did like, I think it was last Christmas. The producer did like put a few clips together for him.
Yeah.
And I was in the clip.
Oh, fantastic!
James Wales shouting, "You shut up!" And I was like, "No, you shut up!"
Immortalised. I think I remember that.
It was funny. We was on about Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
was
right.
saying, we didn't vote for Rishi Sunak, and he was saying, "We did."
Amazing, isn't it? We love him to come back. We love him to come back now, even though we didn't like it. Let's go to Ross in Plymouth. Ross, what's your memories?
So my very first call-in to any radio show was on a debate that you and James had about Shamima Begum.
Oh, yeah.
And whether she should return or not.
Yeah.
And I come in, put my views in, and he was like, "No, you're an idiot. You're an idiot."
Yeah.
I never, honestly, I didn't even realise that someone could call you an idiot. So I actually made a complaint to Ofcom.
Had you not heard the show before? Because all Ofcom say normally in that case is, well, you know the show. Yeah.
I still got the letter, and I will send it into talkTV Towers. Right, Ofcom basically said, the listener has never listened to James Whale before. This is his tone and style.
Exactly.
That's the regulator.
I mean, that is what Ofcom do. You know, you should know the show.
The
government regulator went, "What, have you not listened to this?"
Exactly. You know, respect to Ofcom for that. Let's go.
Can I say this really quickly? When Monkey and I were sorting the Trick Awards out, the head of the Trick Awards went, "James Whale, but doesn't he tell everyone to bugger off?" And we went,
Yeah, that's why he's won the award.
Right,
yeah.
that's why he's
No,
won the
what
award.
happened was they were sat there with Lizzie editing it for the video, and they went, "Let's get some nice clips of Whale." What nice clips? They're on day.
Right, let's go to Mark. Mark, you used to work on the show, didn't you, Mark, in East London?
I did indeed. How are you,
We're
Ash?
all right, man. We miss you. So you obviously got some personal memories of the Great Whale.
I do. Do you know what? I worked on the show for 2.5 years, and it was the best time of my life.
He looks a bit like Mark Lamar.
Oh,
yeah,
Mark.
Yeah.
James was a huge part of that. He was just such a kind, lovely man, and he was always so nice and encouraging to me. And
he's helpful because you're trying to get in. You're in radio, and he always helped people, didn't he?
Yeah, he
even
was a big
16-year-old. If they wanted
underneath.
to do a podcast interview, or he'd tell them, he'd get a phone call with them.
He'd help you, didn't he, Mark?
He did my radio show earlier this year, I think it was. And he also did a little introduction for me when I set up my own radio station a few months back. And I remember meeting him for the first time and just thinking, remembering his reputation and remembering, the TV shows.
That's so odd.
I thought that was how he was going to be with me. I thought he was going to be shout at me. I thought he was going to be...
And no, thank you, Mark. Look, we're going to have to whip through the calls. That was Mark. Yeah, and he also gave Chris Moyles his first break. Chris Moyles' mum used to be sort of cleaning lady, and he'd come in and he'd bounce Chris Moyles on his knee and let him press the faders. They both denied that, but I stick with that story.
Didn't Moyles in his tribute?
Moyles did a big tribute.
He went to the MBE party. There was that many right wingers there. It was practically a threat to democracy. So
Anyway, look, we're going to get 2 more calls in. Tristan. Southland Tristan, our mate. We haven't got your tickets to Israel yet. No, what is it? What's your memories of the great James Wales?
Hello. Okay, so firstly, looking forward to being on the show next week. Thanks for the invite. My love goes each one of really does, so thank you.
You're breaking up. We're breaking up there, Tristan. Try us in the next hour. Let's go to Maggie in Bristol. That's how James used to say Bristol. And he'd always say Aberdeen. Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
In Bristol.
Hello, Maggie.
What's up, man?
What's your memories?
Oh, just love James Well.
Yeah.
Was that it? Can't you expand on it?
Just loves him, man.
I just love the analysis there.
Yeah.
He's just a lovely guy, and I really, really gonna miss that guy.
How long have you been listening to James?
Oh, many years.
Do you remember him on the telly in the 80s and that night time, or were you the nighttime show?
Yeah, nighttime show. Loved him.
There was nothing like that though at the time. I
No,
remember
it was a shock.
coming back, from the pub, and I was thinking, I really got to watch it, and I should have been going to bed, but I watched it, and it was so
I used
shocking.
to watch it. I used to watch it when I was 18, and at 1 it used to finish like 1 in the morning. I'd drive up to London a lot.
Because people think it was Terry Christian that started. It wasn't. It was James Whale.
No, definitely not.
James Whale.
The word and that all came was born of all those shows.
Of James Whale.
Even TFI Friday in reality was.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I think Chris Evans has talked about it. Piers Morgan. You know, they all.
Well, this channel wouldn't exist had he not invented the genre.
And you know what?
Didn't he call Piers Morgan called him the terrorist of the airwaves?
The terrorist of the airwaves.
In fact, we don't mention rival companies, but GB News said they wouldn't be there without him.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
And they did a lovely tribute.
Well, of course, Farage. I had a little chat with Farage on there. I got special dispensation from the management to go and have a nice chat.
But there you go. He had such a mix of friends as well. And so many people respected him.
There was policemen, gangsters, musicians, actors. You know, it was amazing. Whole smorgasbord of mates from everywhere, wasn't it?
But they were friends for a long time.
Lords, loads of lords,
and they've been through so much.
Yeah, so you can't.
They stay mates.
You ended up. I mean, if you think about it, at that dinner you had Charlie Mullins sat next to Theo Pathetis and Nigel Farage, and you think it's almost like taking mushrooms. This. I mean,
it was a mad mix of people.
Although Mullins and Pathetis are both guys who went in class who built their businesses. That's right. They're quite similar.
But it's the variety of people that James knew, and they loved him and respected him.
Because he was a pillar of broadcasting for 50 years.
He was iconic. You know, there's probably 5 names. You know, you've got Steve Wright, you've got Terry Wogan, you've got James. Well, of their genre,
he didn't know he was an icon, though. That's why he was surprised at the Trick Award in the NBA. Because he didn't know how big he was.
He wouldn't know.
Like one of the last interviews I did with James, he said he wanted to be the next sort of David Frost, but it didn't kind of work out like that. But he said it
would have been fun if he'd done it.
Yeah, but he said like the Spike Milligan interview he did was one of his proudest interviews.
Anyway, thank you, Lizzie, for coming in.
Thank you.
It was so lovely. Did you enjoy that?
I loved it, but my heart hurts.
Great. Are you okay? Thanks for getting those clips.
Thank you, and I love you, James, always. Thank you, my darling.
We're going to chat to Lady W after the break, and also we're going to do the papers. We've got Phil Dave in and Alex Dyke, so stay with us on Talk TV and ring in with your memories, 0344 499 1000. We'll be back after the news. Stay with Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is a press preview with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. OK, let's get straight into it with Phil, Dave and Alex Dyke. I don't think we can...
He's sitting on the floor. You better not go to them yet. But we'll start with the press. Let's start with the Daily Express. Pill for weight loss on NHS. Here we go. A daily pill offering an alternative to weight loss injections could become available on the NHS next year. Patients on the highest dose of orforglipron in a global study lost more than £27. Anyway, yeah, you can get this new drug, and it's preferable to an injection.
I worry about the idea that we're going to give away fat pills on the NHS. Not because I've got any problem with people overweight wanting to lose weight. It's just more the cost to the taxpayer of the whole enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, you can get everything. I suppose it is good if it's for diabetes, it can prevent people actually becoming ill. So it's not just a cosmetic thing. They give it to diabetic people. King's tribute to duty and sacrifice of VJ heroes, victory in Japan, because of course they got a bit forgotten after the war, didn't they? After VE Day, everyone sort of.
VE Day was victory in Europe when the European soldiers won. VJ Day was this victory when Japanese soldiers or the soldiers fighting Japan won, and VD Day was when the sailors won.
Get your sun hat on for the glorious weekend. The summer is back with a vengeance. That's the Daily Express there. Anyway, not much to talk about. Just get your sun hat and put your suntan lotion on. And remember, call us with your James Whale memory, 03444991000. We've got loads of voicemails as well that we're going to play out throughout the show. The FT... it's £3.70, by the way. That's the main headline. Duty deadline. Trump begins new trade era. Donald Trump launched a new era of trade rivalry yesterday with a wave of tariffs taking effect at 1 minute past midnight in Washington. So he's bringing back the tariffs. The markets were affected a bit. Anyway,
have you heard that new thing that they say about Donald Trump?
What's that?
Taco. Trump always chickens out.
Does he?
Like, because he's always got this brinkmanship, but he never actually goes through with all the trouble.
But he does it. Anyway, we talked earlier about Lady W, the person who nursed James and was amazing for the last part of his life. He got married, and it was the happiest time of his life, and she basically looked after him, and he said every time on his podcast, I couldn't do it without you, and she was incredible, and we've got her on now. Hi, Lady W.
Hello, guys.
How are you doing?
Oh, pretty shit.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, isn't it, when it hits you? I mean, even though you know it's coming, it's like it's still a shock, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it took a day to even realise what had happened, and now I just feel so sad.
It does. It took me a few minutes. It was great, and then you get a few minutes each day when it hits you. It's like in waves, isn't it?
But it's just like whenever I go into any room, like go in the bathroom, and his aftershave is there, and it's just horrible.
Do you feel he's around a bit though? I felt that a bit.
Well, I mean, a big personality like that just doesn't vanish into thin air, does it? It's just like,
No.
of course he's there.
Yeah, exactly. And you hear his voice, don't you? And so what are you doing? What are you doing in the next few days? Are you just going to stay at home, or what sort of things are you going to do to reflect on everything?
So my daughters live in Tunbridge Wells, both of them. So I've come down to Tunbridge Wells this afternoon, and I went to the Tunbridge Wells Town Hall to get the death certificate.
Yeah.
And so tonight I just went out with my daughters and we had some dinner, and now I'm just staying here tonight, and then tomorrow I'll go back home. And a lovely lady called Scarlett is looking after our doggies for us tonight.
That's nice. So you're with your daughters. That's lovely.
Yeah.
And they're looking after you.
They are. And James has gone home to Grafty Green. There is a funeral director in the village, and he's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a bit bad being in Tunbridge Wells tonight, and he's in Grafty Green, but I'll be back there tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure he'll be with you there in spirit. Do you know what I mean? He definitely loved going out with you and your daughters, didn't he? He loved it. Always had a good time.
Like Yuri Geller rang me this morning, and he said, like, James will send you a message, and he said 11:11, but
That he always goes on about 11:11. He loves that. And it's nearly 11:11 now in 4 minutes. So you know,
well, me and my sisters this morning were waiting, and nothing happened at 11:11.
He meant PM. That's probably it. It's PM. Yeah, look out for it in 4 minutes.
That's what Kelly said. She said it'll be this evening.
Yeah, so it better happen in 3 minutes, or you're in trouble.
Nadine, I don't know you particularly well, but I just want to say to you something that I said to my dad when he was with my mum, when my mum was dying of cancer. This may feel like the worst time of your life, but I genuinely think it's your finest hour to have stood by him and looked after him and protect him, and just the fact that he always knew that he had somebody by his side, even though it's awful for you, it really gave him something.
Well, he couldn't have done it without you. I really don't think. I think it had lasted a year without you. I think you really are the secret to how he lasted 5 years. First of all, because he just wanted to be with you, because he loved you so much. But second of all, because you were just looking after him so well.
Well, I think the thing was like he was just so strong, and he just kind of like gave him months, and he was here 5 years, and then on Saturday morning they said like, you've probably only got a few hours now. So I was like, okay, I'll stay here. And then Saturday came and went, and Sunday came and went, and then on Monday I was just like, I was holding his hand, and he said to me, I just want you to be with me, and holding my hand. And I was with him and holding his hand, and I was like, I was chatting to him.
Yeah.
He was like not really awake, but I know he could hear me, because he was like, he would respond to things I said with like a little smile or a squeeze of my hand, and I just said, you know, honey, I know you want to be here for me, and I know everyone said like, please don't leave me, I don't want you to die, but I'm just getting tired now, and so I can't stay forever here at the hospice. So, you know, if you want to go, just go, and that will be fine. And I'll catch up with you really soon in the next place. Yeah. And he just squeezed my hand, and he smiled, and then he just stopped breathing, and it was just like, oh, it was so peaceful, and beautiful, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you said, I spoke to you, didn't I, the day before, and you put the speaker on for him, and he smiled a bit, didn't he, so he could hear me.
Yeah, he definitely could hear, and I think he was just holding on, because he was such a strong man, and he was just like, I'm not going anywhere, until I said, like, you know, babe, you know, you need to go now, because I can't keep this up anymore. And that's when he
didn't want to be you. Did you get the feeling he wanted to die without, you know, he didn't want you to be facing that, and he wanted you to go just before he died, you think? Or
I just think he was just like thinking of me, and just like he just like hanging on in there, because he just worried about me.
He's being selfless, so yeah, he wanted to release, but he was staying there for you, yeah.
And when I just like, you know, I'm just tired now, and please just, you go and I'll follow you on. And he was just, and then he just stopped breathing.
Oh. But he had a lovely, I mean, he wasn't like in a bad way, was he? They sorted out his care, and he was in a very contented state of mind, wasn't he, as I gathered?
No, he was. I mean, the hospice are amazing, and they just said, look, you know, you are in pain now, and we can increase your pain relief, but it will make you more sleepy.
Yes.
That's up to you. What would you rather do? And he was just like, I'd rather be asleep.
Yeah.
I'd rather be asleep
It was
now.
definitely the best for him, wasn't it, that? I mean, it really sounded like a peaceful ending that he had.
It was the best. Honestly, if I could choose a way to go, I would choose that. It was amazing.
And the hospice were brilliant, weren't they? What
was the name of the hospice? Let's give them a shout out.
The Heart of Kent Hospice, and they need £7.4 million a year to keep going, and they raise that, like 18% of that comes from the government. The rest is all like little local people doing bake sales and sponsored runs. I mean, how amazing is that?
I know Jeremy Kyle went down with Mike Graham and Denny the boss, and I think Jeremy said they're going to try to do a fundraiser, a golf tournament. I mean, not really James a golf tournament, but he, you know, a golf. That's what they do, isn't it?
So that's great. And there's so many hospices all around the country doing these amazing things without and just being supported by local people. And you know, it's not. People go, that it's NHS, or it's you know, lucky for you to afford it. We can't afford it. James he earned probably a lot of money in his lifetime, he loved shopping.
He did spend it, didn't he? And especially after his first cancer diagnosis, he thought he was going to die 25 years ago, so he blew all his money.
He was not a saver. He was not a saver.
No, he used to buy ridiculous long coats, leather coats and things like that that were very expensive. I remember he bought a lamb's sort of a lambskin coat. It was £1,000 or something, you know, just would
I don't know what he's called, but, you know, he hasn't got, you know, he didn't have savings in the bank, but he enjoyed his life, and
he certainly did.
But also,
he lived it to the full.
But Nadine, can I just ask you this? How much of a comfort was it to you to have him around? Because obviously, you started your relationship with him after you both had your own bereavements.
I know, and I mean, I just honestly am the most toxic widow, aren't I? I mean, who wants to marry me next? No one. But James was just the most amazing man. I couldn't have. I mean, I'm 60 now, and the last 5 years of my life have been the best years of my life because of his kindness, generosity. He just was so lovely, and he loved me so much, and I know that. And all you can want is for someone to if someone ever loves you like that in your life. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit teary now, but honestly, I couldn't wish anything else. I'm so happy that I met him.
And it's amazing all the outpouring, all the people that we've seen contacting in the press and everything. It's always. I mean, I know everyone knew him, but when you see it, it's amazing, isn't it? From all corners of entertainment, politics, everywhere. So
lovely, and from my point of view, it's so comforting to be able to see all those lovely things. I mean, there are occasionally some very small minority people who are, if I can say this, complete dicks.
But he would have loved all this controversy around it, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of that.
The point is, Ash,
he wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
He's not here now, and so the person reading those comments is me. And so anyone who's out there saying like the horrible things, they're just hurtful things.
You're just hurting the family. Yes,
he was always able. Right. He was always able to separate out what is the debate about the subject and the person themselves. And so he would never be offended by people long term, and they shouldn't have been offended by him.
They've got their own problems. That's why you do something like that. Do you know what I mean? And there'll be anonymous accounts, and they've got their own demons, which is why they do it.
They are horrible, but I just think like once someone's died, you shouldn't say mean things because the only person reading that is their
the family. Yeah, well, you ignore them. Look, Lady...
you know, they are hurtful, even though you try and ignore them. But they're very... 99.999%.
Exactly, that's what you got to concentrate on. The others are just trolls. They get a kick out of it. That's why they're sick people, so don't even worry about them. You know, maybe don't read them for a bit. But like you say, 99% of them are just amazing, aren't they? And you're finding out things.
And there's a lot of them.
99.999%.
Exactly.
More, and those comments are so nice to read, and they're so... They make things... I mean, I think I'm so lucky because a lot of people who lose someone, I can just like if I just Google James or go on YouTube, I can see him, I can hear him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
And people still talking about him, and that'll go on for ages, won't it? You'll always be able to see and find things, and new things will go online, new videos. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for calling us, and you know it's great to talk to you, and it's lovely. Send our love to your lovely daughters. And
I hope I haven't been too snivelly because I am still quite tearful.
No, it's been lovely having you on. It's been great. It's been great. We weren't expecting you to come on, so it's fantastic that you have come on.
And it's great to hear you sounding so well, despite the circumstances.
And thanks for being there for James. You know, like I said, I know I've said it, but he couldn't have gone as long without you, and that's what he said all the time. And you know, best time of his life as well.
And it's up to you to carry on now.
Well, we will. We'll try. We had the empty chair at the beginning. You know, there'll never be another James Whale, though. You know, they broke the mould after him. But you know, it's what a great guy.
You two need to carry on his banner. So keep doing what you're doing.
We will do.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Lady W. And we'll take a little break at that point, and then we will do our paper review with Alex and Phil. So stay with Talk Me and Andre. Back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the paper review with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, Alex Dyke, and Phil Dave, who I often call Dave. Okay, but Alex, we were just saying in the break that you have a James Whale story. I mean, everyone does. Yeah. Everyone does, but go on, what's yours?
Well, before I get to the story, being in the studio tonight and looking at the monitors up there and seeing you guys and all of those fabulous clips with Lizzie and James reminds me of when I was doing a show for the BBC. I did a network show for the BBC, a music show on a Saturday night, and I used to get into the studio at 10 and I'd get the record sorted out, and I could play long songs like the Eagles, 6-minute songs by the Eagles and all that kind of stuff. And I would put the volume up on the remote and think, right, I can now watch you guys with James for 6 minutes before I've got to do a link. Then I'd do another link and I'd put on a song by Foreigner that was 6 minutes, and I'd be watching your show again. It was
And would you nick our jokes for the links? Would you go?
No,
you couldn't go that far. It'd be too insane on the BBC.
I just wanted to say that's how much that programme meant to me.
Oh, that's great, man.
Seeing those clips tonight was pretty
a lot of entertainment, because we used to be obviously 10 to 1 across the country, and when we were on the old, we get like millions of people listening. In fact, I read in the obituary, and I remember this, we were the biggest show. There was only Radio 4 at night that was big. We were bigger than every BBC and independent show at that night, and all the entertainers, the comedians and that, and musicians, because they'd be going home from their gigs about 10, 11ish, they'd put us on, and we used to get all the old comedians and the new ones and the bands, and Shawaddy Waddy would ring us from the coach with Keith Harris on board. Bernard Manning would then ring in from his Rolls Royce. He wasn't driving; it was always his manager who'd drive. I think Laugh One was his number plate, I think. And we get all these people ringing in just randomly. It was fantastic, man.
Well, my story about James is about 15 years ago. We had a stand-up row. There was about 100 people at this radio thing, and we had a row. And later on we reconnected, and I was doing a radio show that was shown on Sky TV at the time. And he rang me up and said, your show is train crash radio on Car Crash TV. And that's the biggest...
And then did he go, I like it?
I think that's a compliment from James.
Yeah. So, and then I met him at a party, and I said, look, I love Talk. I love to be involved in Talk. And he made a call to Denny for me, and he was so kind to me.
He was like that. He would help people out, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and then I saw him at singer Linda Lewis's funeral.
Yes.
About 2.5 years ago.
Shirley was her sister, of course, who was George Michael's main backing singer.
And he was so kind to me that day, and I said, how are you? And this is about 2.5 years ago. He said, I might have another year. But he was such a trooper. And as you say, with Nadine, she just kept him going.
He kept going. He had a lot more than a year, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was so kind to me. And a lot of people think, he was this shock talk. He
was a shock job, but that was an act. He didn't like being called it though, which is why I used to call him.
Which he was, but he was very, very kind to me.
But I mean, in a sense, it wasn't an act. It was the way he believed you should approach a debate, which is to go out there to take an extreme
It's a performance,
position.
isn't it? Yeah, but it's real. It has to come from that was a secret.
I think it's real, but you amplify it. Don't you?
Totally.
But
and apart from anything, what you saw with Whale was not what you got, and that's what I liked about him. It's actually very strange, because normally it's the other way around, and we know what we're talking about. There are people who on air are really lovely, and then off air they're absolutely vile. And yet with
it's
James,
the other way around.
it was totally the other way around.
He was vile on air, but
he was it was a total act that he was horrible on air.
Actually, I always think. Do you not think it's true to say that the people who are really horrible on TV and radio are always guaranteed to be all right?
Normally,
because they're not that bothered.
And the ones that are nice are often not nice at all.
No.
It's a fake.
No, believe me, there are plenty of people I've worked with who are like that. On there, all sweetness and light, and off air.
Don't they say it's okay? They used to say it's okay to be a rebel on air, but not in the office. And I think he probably had. I didn't know him well, but I think he probably had that down to.
I saw him. He'd really upset somebody one day, and he came down to have a further go at him or something, and then he whispered in my ear, "Is the guy okay? It is just an act." So.
And the guy wasn't. He was actually really traumatised.
But hang on a second. James Whale starts barking abuse at you. I mean, I refused to come on his show for ages because he used to shout at me over Brexit, and I thought I'd genuinely upset him.
Yeah, well, of course, his handovers with Kev, you know, he actually respected people who had a go a bit as well. You know, he liked that sort of thing, and they became good mates.
I've always believed that the only reason he was pro-European was because he liked Charlie Mullins so much.
No, it was because his son owns an Italian restaurant and he was worried about the price of pasta. Yeah, he had to buy it in bulk.
Yeah. I mean, the best compliment James ever paid me, without a shadow of a doubt, is he said that I should never do on air. And but that tells me that he actually thought I was all right. Because otherwise he wouldn't bother. You know, he wouldn't poke.
No, but you were really good on it. Of course you should be on it.
But what I mean is that he was doing it in a way that it was sort of like with his sort of like very straight-laced style, where you just knew what he's actually guessing at is you're fine. I can
it was his way of saying he likes you.
Yeah,
exactly.
In a way, yeah.
So just to remind ourselves, you're wearing your dog tag. It's been a terrible week, hasn't it?
Unbelievable.
For the Israel and Gaza situation.
Yeah, look, it's. I think every week's a terrible week for as long as innocent people are being held hostage. To be honest with you, so I don't really.
And innocent people are dying because of Hamas's failure to come to the negotiating table, or rather to drop dead, which is what I prefer them to do.
Well, that would be quite nice. Yeah, I mean, it's even more the point when you sort of see, you know, again, I'm not too narrow-minded to not appreciate both sides of the argument. I'd say that when you've got people in Gaza who are clearly starving, but the difference is I know who to blame for that. It's very simple.
Yeah, but the parents aren't starving, and there's still actually supermarkets. It's unusual to have a famine where the supermarkets and cafes are open.
It's even more unusual to have a famine where you've got a load of aid waiting to be distributed
the UN
by
aren't
the
bringing
UN,
out, letting it rot.
What upsets me more than anything else is that the Gazans have been through so much since Hamas attacked Israel, since the Iranians attacked Israel using Gaza. And it just feels like we as a community, as the world, as the international community, as whatever we are going to fail to get them a decent government out of this.
But that's never going to change until we know who's at fault here. This is the problem.
Well, the Gazans want Hamas to go for obvious reasons, but you know Hamas will not. They'll fight to the end. So, and that's what unfortunately.
Can you actually see an end to it?
Well, I believe that actually, strangely enough, and I wouldn't say this very often because I'm actually very against settlements, but I actually believe that Netanyahu is right that the military should take total control of the Gaza Strip because it's the only way that he can absolutely guarantee Hamas has been completely rooted out.
See, you know what I've advocated from day one, and I'm not an expert on the Middle East, so you can pick holes in my argument. I've always felt that there needed to be a interim administration from somewhere, probably the Islamic world, probably Jordan or whatever, simply because the problem is in this binary position, either Hamas takes over or Israel takes over. And I think what we need is a sensible group of people, because the big problem, and Ash has made this point loads of times, we haven't done the denazification yet. And fundamentally, if you were to have an election in Gaza tomorrow, obviously they'd elect the extremists. But we need that process of just building
Can you deprogram someone with a religious ideology? It's not like Nazism, is it? I mean,
I don't think that they would elect the extremists. I just don't think they'd be given a choice. There's a difference.
That's true.
I don't believe it would be a case.
Well, the Palestinian Authority are also terrible.
The problem is, even if, I mean, I was about to say in defence of Hamas, what a stupid phrase, but if Hamas had held an election and they'd have lost the election and they'd have left office, many of the problems still would have existed. No independent courts, police that could be bribed, theft of aid. I mean, in the end, the reality is, let's just be clear on one thing. The reason why Hamas attacked Israel on the 7th of October was there was a genuine danger of peace breaking out in the Middle East, and that would have stopped the leaders of Hamas from stealing aid from donors.
Well, it was run from Iran as well, who are obviously the main competitor of the Saudis, and they were proxies of them.
Well, they really were on the brink, Israel that is on the brink of tying Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia just before the 7th of October happened. So they absolutely despised that prospect, and we know what happened.
Well,
afterwards,
because it's a scam. I'll tell you one thing that we've got to do. We're able to freeze the assets. I mean, we even had Roman Abramovich having to sell Chelsea, right? Why are we not freezing the assets of these people like Mrs. Arafat, who've never had a job and have got $1 billion in the bank? Now, let me just ask you a question. You've got people starving in Gaza. You've got Mrs. Arafat and the leaders of Hamas and people like that, all worth $1 billion each.
Nowhere near the Gaza Strip, by the way.
Having never had a job. It's not hard to work out what the bloody hell's happening, is it? You don't have to be an expert in international relations. They've got their hand in the till, and if there's peace in the Middle East, they can't keep their hand in the till. Why can't we sanction them?
It's business for them, isn't it?
That's why they're billionaires. Money talks.
They're
what
billionaires.
Can I say?
Anyway, let's go to the Daily Star. The headline, 4-4 boo. FIFA morons rank our lionesses fourth in the world. How dare they? Anyway, those...
Look at that.
I know, it's...
Look at that picture of what's his name?
James Corden. Anyway, those FIFA fools have ranked England's lionesses fourth best team in the world despite back-to-back Euros wins. Well, they might be right. Doesn't work like that. And being run at behind you. They don't like us, do they? It's like Brexit. They just want to...
Do you know why they don't like us?
We won. The Lionesses won
International football bodies do not like us because of this building. Because people like TalkSport, because people like The Sun, because people like The Times will call out their corruption. Across the world, the corruption of people like the IOC, UEFA and FIFA and all of these international bodies is completely ignored. It's not ignored in Britain. That's why they all hate us.
A bit like the UN, really.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Nobody cares that the UN have got their hands in the till.
And there's a picture of Gavin, James Corden, Gavin and Stacey's topless in it. And
sorry, just
I
describe.
can see your belly.
Just describe what we're looking at.
Him at that,
There's a picture of James Corden with a shaved armpit and rubbing a flower over his naked chest.
His left breast hanging down, isn't it?
Fortunately or unfortunately, we haven't got page 3. That's where the story is. We've just got.
He looks like page 3 girl.
We've never done this before, but the Daily Star on page 3 has a nude picture of James Corden. My advice is don't buy it because right now I'm going to have to poke out my mind's eye already, and that's.
The Daily Mail. The Minister for Hypocrisy is forced to quit, and this is a story.
She basically, the Minister for Homelessness threw out a homeless family from the house she was renting out in East London and then upped the rent by 700
That's
quid.
exactly what happened. Rushanara Ali was accused of staggering hypocrisy amid claims she ejected tenants from one of her properties before putting it back for an extra 700 quid a month. Well, we know what they're like. They don't
hang on a minute. She didn't do anything illegal. And the story behind this is, as I'm sure you guys know, she had the tenants in there, then she decided to sell it. She couldn't sell it, so she decided to re-let it. But she put it up
on a second,
because of the law, because of that law that they're bringing in. She kicked them out before the law started.
That's right. So the argument goes, no, it's not illegal. But what she's done is she knows that no fault evictions are about to disappear. Therefore, she wanted to get out the residents on the basis that she opposed a piece of legislation that she herself had publicly supported.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I agree.
She supports
it's not a good look.
So what she does is, like all of them, she supports it for you, but not for herself.
I do have to say that it is just yet another example. It's maybe very easy coming from me because I'm lucky enough to be a homeowner, and I do recognise.
You're lucky enough to be what?
A homeowner.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry.
I do recognise. What did you thought I said?
I misheard you. Sorry.
Oh, I see. I do appreciate that. That not everyone is in that privileged position, but at the same time, I do find it completely baffling how landlords get so much what thrown at them. At the end of the day, they are the one providing housing here. And as much as I don't necessarily agree with the way this minister has behaved, of course I don't, it's more about, I think we need to be understanding towards the fact that not all landlords are evil.
I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing that I've found, and this is going to sound awful, but this is my own experience from renting. There are a category of people who I would describe as foreign-born soul traders who are nightmare landlords, who are incredibly difficult. Big companies, they just have all their tradesmen. All that happens when you've got the foreign-born, so don't care about the community. I know that's sweeping generalisation. Sole traders don't know anything about property. They become a real problem, those people. And what I used to do is I used to ask for the profile of my landlords from the estate agents, and they used to hit the roof when I'd go, I'm afraid I'm not having this person, simply because I know what will happen, because it's what always happens. You move in, the place is not up to standard, and then when you move out, they give you a bill for all the stuff they didn't fix.
Hang on a minute. Usually it's the landlords that vet the tenants, but you're saying you were a tenant who was vetting the landlord.
They all decline each other.
That's a terrible idea, to be honest.
But it's a business relationship. So hang on. What you're going to do is enter into a financial agreement that may cost you 15,000, 20,000 a year with someone you've never met, and also who has conviction for fraud in some cases. Why would you do it?
You know what? You know, you've got those websites that actually check individuals who, say, for example, a building contractor, for example. And they have to sort of have them rated.
MyBuilder.com and all that
maybe something along those lines between landlord and tenant. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but you know what's happening in the rental market, and it's being bought up by massive corporations like BlackRock. They're buying swathes in this country. They're also buying all the farmland. Basically, the corporates are looking to take over all the essential stuff for humans. Once they've got the monopolies or oligopolies, they'll force the prices up. So basically, what they're doing, it's like the old, the red tape for the small companies. They can't deal with it. They're bringing this new act. A lot of landlords are going, I'm out of this. It's getting snapped up by BlackRock and other big corporations.
Tell you my favourite thing. My favourite thing.
This is what will happen with farmland as well.
My favourite thing in property
and food
was the German system of maintenance contractors. I don't know if you know this, but in Germany, if you need a plumber or you need an electrician or you need a bricklayer, you know what you do? You phone up the guild of bricklayers or plumbers or whatever, and you phone them up, and they will supply you with a list of people who are approved contractors and the price per hour that everyone charges, and also the number of hours it should take. So you just phone up, you go, right, I need a new boiler. You phone up the gas fitters of Munich, and they give you a list of people and go, it'll cost you €60 an hour and take 10 hours to do. Boom.
And they're good and they come on time and do the job well.
The thing is, though, I get what you're saying, and you make a really good point.
Because you're a landlord, haven't you got holiday lets and stuff?
Yeah, I'm a landlord, and it's a nightmare, and there's so much legislation, and you don't make a lot of money out of it.
But that's why they're doing it. They make more legislation so the small man can't handle it.
As you know full well, I dealt with, Winkworth's estate agents, dodgy, right? But I dealt with these people.
Well, I'm sure they'd argue otherwise.
Yeah,
but basically, what they did was this. They would simply say, right, well, we've got the tenancy deposit scheme. Great. OK, we'll only give you your deposit back. They wanted you to take a significant percentage of your deposit, otherwise they wouldn't give you a landlord's reference. So they have successfully bypassed the entire. I'll tell you the other one that's dodgy, and I'm sure that the wheel's going to come off this. Good Lord, the vetting agents who are actually a reseller for an insurance company. When you next rent out a property, phone up your estate agent and say, are the people doing the vetting actually just brokers for an insurance company? Because what they're doing is similar to the car loans. They've got an undisclosed financial position.
We've got to be careful what we're saying about all these places, haven't we? So
hello to Good Lord.
Take all that back.
The absence of anyone from there to represent.
Yeah, we can't really make all these. Anyway, how dare people call my friend Megan Duchess difficult when Andrew's been so vile by Bryony Gordon?
I think we're saying both of them are quite bad.
I was going to say. I mean, we're saying here two wrongs that make a right.
Do you know Bryony Gordon in the Mail? The proposition that because Prince Andrew's a wrong and Meghan can't be is just simply a garbage, isn't it? It's like saying Mussolini must be okay because Hitler was evil.
I was literally just going to make that exact comparison.
Do you think, guys? Do you think though that this Meghan? See, I just see this as Edward and Mrs. Simpson all over again,
similar, isn't it? Yeah.
And is there ever going to be an end to this?
I think it's worse.
He wasn't going to be king.
The difference is I do think that Edward and Wallis Simpson actually sort of were a bit classier.
And he was going to be king. He was king for a little bit.
I think part of the problem with this is, whatever way you look at it, I think she is. I don't think she's a user in the sense. I just think she's a Hollywood type person, and that's what they're like. I think the other problem is he is convinced that the media killed his mother and are now trying to kill his wife. And it's just
but
very
he's so
hard to be
angry, and he
sensitive.
never used to be an angry man. Just since he's been here, I think he's trying to show he's the man and everything. Anyway, look, it's the paper review. We've got Alex Phillips, me and Andre. It's talk. Any James Well?
I bet you wish it was Alex Phillips.
I was going to say,
We've
who's
got
Alex
Alex
Phillips?
Dyke and Phil.
It is, isn't
Alex
it?
and Philip.
Yeah, no, it's not Alex Phillips. No, it's Alex.
Close
Alex
enough.
She's better
Dyke.
looking than me.
And that's nothing to do with her either. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the paper review with Andre Walker, Alex Dyke and Phil Dave. And Phil, what have you got on the front page there?
Oh, it depends which paper I'm looking at, really, doesn't it?
Take a pick whatever you want.
All right, let's have a look at Daily Telegraph then, shall we?
It's just you were looking so fastidious.
Oh, I tell you what it was. No, it was just it was actually on the just before. Obviously, we were talking about the whole the Meghan and comparing it to the Wallace Simpson debacle.
Yeah.
But actually, you know what? If you compare it to this day and age, it actually would have been, or could have been, a very similar situation for our very own king. You know, think about it like this, if you will. The reason why King Edward stood down is because obviously he was told that he was not allowed to marry a divorcee. But the truth is that it's only because of recent changes to the law that our very own king was allowed to do the same.
Standards dropped.
So actually, you know, we could have been looking at a very different picture. And I hate to say this, but technically you do realise that, of course, it could have been a situation where Prince Andrew was the monarch. If
we
the
really
laws hadn't
escaped
changed.
there, didn't we? With Fergie, Queen Fergie.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing that's interesting: the way that they've got these councillors of state, and they've added a load to them, haven't they? They've added, I think it's Princess Beatrice, and they've added Edward. Yeah, they've added Edward. I mean, Edward's become the breakout star. But I'll tell you one thing.
And Princess Anne as well.
Yeah, I quite like Camilla. And I'll tell you why I quite like Camilla. Because she's just one of those people. She's taken all the abuse that could be meted out at her and she's kept going. And I think actually in that job of being a royal husband or wife, you've just got to shut your gob, cut ribbons and kiss babies and then do whatever it is that you do in private.
Queen.
She has done that.
She's actually been like
She is the Queen. I mean, this is the whole point. You know, so she knows her duty.
Can you, when they say...
But Charles doesn't, does he?
Well, when they say the King and Queen, or the Queen, I always think of Elizabeth. I can't. I'm not at the thinking Camilla stage.
My dad actually opposes the monarch's wife being called the Queen. He believes it should be King and something else.
Well, like Prince Philip wasn't called.
Yeah, but
King.
that's only because a king is technically
supposed to be higher,
queen, and therefore you can't have.
But are you aware
the husband of a queen being higher?
But are you aware there was a debate when Queen Victoria came in? There was a debate that she was going to be King Victoria and he was going to be Queen Albert. She wanted him to be. She wanted him to be the king because they were saying
they were so ahead of their time.
They were saying no. The idea being
this woke nonsense
the idea being that the monarch is the king, whether male or female, and then the monarch's partner is the queen, whether they're male or female. Obviously, Prince Albert didn't want to be Queen Albert, but they said, well, we want to have a king by courtesy title, which they wouldn't do either because king is supposed to be higher than queen.
I think I know Queen Albert in Soho, actually.
But there's been some great queens.
I thought you weren't a homeowner.
There are some great queens down there.
I think the other thing about the royal family is there are some slow burners in it. Look how long it took for Britain to fall in love with Princess Anne. And all she's done is she's kept her head down and she's worked and worked.
She's
and
just
worked.
hard-working, isn't she?
She's very hard-working, and I think she came...
She reminds me very much of the Queen before, you know, Queen Elizabeth II.
And it was hard to get anything from her. I remember when I was a kid, she did something on Blue Peter.
Yeah.
And she hardly ever did any TV,
Yeah,
but she kept her head down and she kept working. And I think that she didn't seem to have a lot of warmth as far as the media were concerned. But everybody,
I've got a great story. Kuram, the driver who takes us back to where I live and where one of the producers lives at the end of most of our shifts. He said that previously he'd been in the clothing trade and he'd decided to become a taxi driver later on. Anyway, he said that Princess Anne was coming to visit the factory that he worked in, and they told this girl, who must have been about 5 or 6, who was the boss's daughter, she was going to meet a real-life princess. She was incredibly pleased about this, and obviously was imagining a Disney princess who was about 18 years old with a big flowing dress. When this old lady walked in, she just looked, she pulled the flowers away, and they said, "Aren't you going to give your flowers to the princess?" She went, "She's not a real princess." And that was it. Too old.
How did she take it?
Apparently she just laughed, because you can imagine if
She's
you
probably
are,
had that before off little kids.
if you are 4, 5, 6, 7 years old and a girl, and you get told you're going to meet a real princess, and she turns up, it is fair to say it would not be a disappointment, but it would be different to what you're expecting.
Yeah, it would be
Do
a
you
bit
think
of a shock.
do you think Edward's off the subs bench and now doing a great job because of Andrew? Or do you think his time would have come?
I think, you know what else is Sophie, because the Queen really loved Sophie. She really had a bond with Sophie, and I think that sort of elevated. And also Edward, he did silly things like "It's a Knockout" and all that. And
He only got. I'll tell you what it shows.
But he's now shut up, hasn't he? So he's sort of like become
now Duke of Edinburgh, isn't
They
he?
gave that's right. They gave him the Dukedom of Edinburgh.
He tried to stop that, Charles, didn't he?
No,
But
Charles did stop it.
Philip said he wants him to have it.
No,
and
Charles stopped it and then unstopped it, which is basically when Prince Philip died. Obviously, Prince Charles inherited the Dukedom of Edinburgh, which he was then, when he became monarch, was able to give to Edward, but he didn't want to give it to him. And the reason wasn't that he hated his brother or anything like that. It's that he wanted a slimmed down royal family. Well, of course, when Prince Andrew disappeared, he gave him the only, I think, in history, life hereditary peerage. That is to say that the Dukedom of Edinburgh is a hereditary peerage. It passes down from father to son, but in letters patent, it's only for the lifetime of Prince Edward, which means, I always give this example.
So it dies out after him.
It dies out after him, which means that James Windsor, who's known as Earl Wessex, when his dad dies, his title will change to the Earl Wessex, because your dad is the... And he's using it as a secondary title. But because it'll be the primary title, when his dad dies, he'll inherit the word "the" from his dad.
I do think it's quite sad, though, that yet again, another example of how hereditary peerage is frowned upon. I just don't see why they have to bin off Dukedom of Edinburgh. It's very strange to me to do that.
No, but they keep them and recycle them, because George and Louis will have dukedoms, won't they?
They've all got about 14 each, haven't they?
No. What they normally do is they normally give you a dukedom in England, an earldom in Scotland, and a barony in both Wales and Northern Ireland. So,
but the Queen had about 15.
Loads of them. So it's something like.
She used to collect them. She had them on the mantle.
I think Baron Kilkeel in Northern Ireland is Prince Harry, and there's all these sorts of things. Viscount 7 is Prince Andrew.
It's a lovely biscuit, isn't it?
From Wales.
Have we got a little breaky here, Garçon? Well, let's take that. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is a press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, Alex Dyke and Phil Dave. What's next, Asher?
We're going to Daily Telegraph, and living standards will stagnate under Reeves, warns the bank. Let's have a look at a bit more detail. Living standards will stagnate, you don't say. For a year under Labour, as fears grow over looming tax rises, the Bank of England has warned. It said Rachel Reeves' she looks like Richard III, record tax rate last autumn and rising food costs driven by government policy are causing a renewed squeeze on working people. The bank warned that the cost of a weekly shop would keep rising. Well, we know that. Have you seen the price of biscuits, cheese, £5-6 now?
Asher, you can't just throw that in and just leave it out.
She does look like Richard III, don't you think? And
Rachel Reeves looks like Richard.
She does. I mean, because they did that mock-up when they found his skull in that car park in Leicester, and they made it, and it was basically Rachel Reeves. It turns out.
This is why he's done 30 years with James Whale. Because no matter what happens, there'll just be a little pearler that's just thrown in.
She does
she
look
looks like Richard III. So anyway, forget that story. Does she look like Richard III? She has got that bob, hasn't she?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think the thing about this is what's really going to happen this time.
She's also a bit crooked.
What I think what's going to really happen this time is that, as you say, food is so expensive. So because people are struggling to feed their families, they are missing out on the nice-to-haves. So the holidays, the weekends away. Eating out. Maybe upgrading their car. Just
having a pint, it's like £7.
That's ridiculous.
So then that stagnates industry and spending in Britain.
And the tax goes down. People have got less money to spend.
You got it.
People are leaving the country.
So this, I think, is going to be really, really big come the autumn when people think, can we even afford a packet of
here's the
biscuits?
thing that upsets me more than anything else, Alex. This idea that basically the problem here is we need to tax the rich. Now, look, I wouldn't have bailed out the banks in 2008. I get all that. But what upsets me is that now basically they've scared all the rich off. But anyway, it's something like 75% of income tax is paid by the top 20% anyway. But it's like there's been no discussion of cutting the amount of waste in government. Nobody gives a toss about that. It's just let's tax the rich. Keep going as we're going. It's ridiculous.
But this is the problem, is they can't see they're doing anything wrong. All of these ridiculous net zero policies that they're trying to tax their way to success with that on. Everything that they're spending on migrants, day in, day out, the millions of pounds a day. Do they not stop and think, this actually could be better spent elsewhere?
Do you think they just fail to read the room, like with the one in, one out?
No, I think it's worse.
They don't care,
think they know. I think they know, and they think, well, this is what we're doing.
They think,
like it.
There's no way out of it. They're cowards. They couldn't do anything to reverse it now, could they?
We were talking earlier about landlords and moving house. You were talking about paperwork. I mean, you rent a flat in this country. You've got about 15 different documents, all about 18 pages each. All of that. We are not a nation of shopkeepers like Napoleon called us. We're a nation of government inspectors. There's a bloody form for everything. We're just weighed down. When I was a child, I believed we had a government, and rightly so. Now I just believe we're ruled. We're just ruled all the time. Everything we do, there's a rule for it. Everywhere we go, there's a rule for it. Everything, you just want to pop down to your local shops, there's risk assessment, that. We are drowning in a sea of paperwork.
I want to know where critical mass is, truly, because I can't. I think we're pretty flipping close, to be honest.
Well, they say we're going to go bankrupt. We're going to hit another credit crunch. We're going to have to go with our begging bowl to the IMF, and they're going to say, well, if you want this loan, you've got to cut the benefits, and there's going to be hell to pay.
But that might be that. I mean, like financially speaking, in terms of a country, maybe we're on the brink. But I actually mean in terms of, if you like, society, the people themselves.
Yes, balkanisation.
I would never ever encourage violence. I'd never encourage anyone to break the law. But I'm hearing people say things that they wouldn't have said even a year ago. I'm hearing people that are doing things that they wouldn't do, like sort of they'd actually be moved to go on march and protest.
Well, politicians are saying things that you would never expect them to say now, like Robert Jenrick and people like that are actually saying it.
It's amazing the way the police have lost the public completely.
I'm not surprised.
But I'll tell you something. I was reading about whichever local council, I forget which one it was, were Reform UK had said that they'd paid in transport for one delinquent child £160,000 a year. And they said, we've never paid as much as £60,000 for transport for one child. The most we've ever paid is 115. Oh, well, in that case, I mean, 115 grand for your school transport. It's just madness. Money's being flushed down the toilet left, right and centre.
Because it doesn't mean anything to
but it doesn't. But it doesn't go on people who need
But
it.
also, a lot of them are contracts that know the councillors. You know, when you look into things, there was one kid, I think, in somewhere I grew up, and it was like £1 million on taxes spent.
I think Phil's right. We all know there's this bubbling pot because people, everyday people, the backbone of Britain, the carpenters and the bricklayers and the bus drivers, they're all getting very, very frustrated, thinking
they've paid all their life to
all their lives,
and then you just come to the country. They could never dream of living in a 5 or 4-star hotel like that one in Canary Wharf, and you can just come to this country and you'll get everything given.
I was driving up tonight thinking about what we're going to talk about, and I just wanted to mention this. I wonder how many people listening to this saw those pictures of those migrants coming off of that bus. It's been all over the news, going into that 4-star hotel in London. Everyone, a young man of fighting age, and then when they get into the hotel, they're filming,
mocking,
out there,
and throwing
us.
eggs at people, and they're laughing at us because we are idiots, and they look at us as idiots.
But I watched when I was a member of the House of Commons press lobby. I remember somebody put their hand up, and I forget who was being interviewed. I think it might have been William Hague, and they said, "How many battalions of the Islamic State have landed at Dover?" And oh well, I don't know. You know the way William Hague goes on. Well, look, the answer. So if let's forget battalions, let's forget groups. Let's say how many individual Islamic State, Hezbollah, or Hamas fighters have landed in Dover? Because the answer isn't 0, is it? Now I don't know if it's 5. I don't know if it's 500. But the concern I've got.
Neither did the authorities.
Well, there's 40,000 people on the watch list.
The concern I've got is we watch people for terrorism. Right, if you were to do the following, right, if you were in France or in, say, Tehran, you were to say, right, you 500 people, what you need to do is all get into the United Kingdom, and on Thursday, December the 6th at 8 o'clock in the evening, take your knife out and do a mass knife attack. But in the meantime, say and do nothing. Right, that sort of attack would be incredibly easy. And by the way, you're not allowed to gamble on her, but if you were allowed to gamble, I would put £10 down that is precisely what's going to happen this Christmas.
They're sleeper cells.
Of course they are.
I think you're absolutely right, and we've just opened our borders to let everyone in, and we can't even check their passports.
And I'll tell you what we'll do. Like that disgusting display that we saw in Manchester, people lighting candles and saying "Don't look back in anger." We've been attacked by a foreign nation with Iran.
But that was a bit of a psyops operation. Apparently,
we're all singing "Kumbaya."
The government gave the press the same photo and "Don't look back in anger." It was actually a psyops operation.
I'll tell you what, guys, I spend, as you know, a lot of my time in Cowes on the Isle of Wight, so it's Cows Week this week. It's
Cowes?
In Cowes.
Not literally, it's a place, not the animal.
God.
So they have
you can't spend the whole weekend.
So they have the sailing regatta every year and have done, it's the 200th anniversary next year. But this year, for the first time ever, all of the bins are taped up and all of the letterboxes are taped up. So I think the security services are expecting something big to go down.
Well, you look
I've never seen that before.
Around Parliament, they've put a massive metal barrier around. There's not been much news about it.
But they're not telling us.
Yeah.
They don't tell us. Well, we know they don't.
That would be an admission of failure.
What has happened is, and this is the most outrageous thing from our elite, the border has moved from Dover to Millbank. And what I mean to say by that is this. The protection that you need against these people is no longer at Dover. It's now just surrounding the Houses of Parliament, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle and places like that. So you can make it now as far... I mean, if you are a Hezbollah or Hamas terrorist, you can't make it into the Palace of Westminster with a knife, but you can make it through Dover. You can get to anywhere else. We've just moved the border.
And Iran do have sleeper cells, we know for a fact that they're here.
I tell you, and we've made these predictions before. What did we say? We said if they didn't defend Mike Freer in Finchley Golders Green, then the next attack on our democracy would come quickly. Within 3 weeks, they changed the constitution of the UK under threat from Islamists. I'm telling you, by Christmas there will be a major attack organised by Iran using these people that have come on the small boats. I guarantee
it is just such an insult to all of our sort of forefathers who fought so hard to protect this country.
And
now
we'll call it a mental health
We've
incident.
just opened the floodgates. We're saying it's fine, it's no problem, and there are people who bury their heads in the sand claiming that, they don't live a good life. You know, the hotels are not like a hotel. So I'm sorry, they live in a hotel at our expense. That's all you need to know. I don't care whether they're getting waiter service.
Let's do the basics. Let me tell you this about Syrian refugees, Iranian refugees. If you have a terrible life in Iran, I don't care. The reason why I don't care is because the alternative to you living in Iran is you knifing up people on my street. Therefore, Iran is the best place for you.
I'm telling you for nothing. People in Iran do not care about our living conditions here, which are getting increasingly worse.
Okay, so Mike Graham is up in a couple of moments. He's got a really, really huge show today. Really looking forward to it. Okay, and your number to call is 0344 499 1000 if you want to get through to Mike Graham. Brilliant breakfast show, absolutely worth staying on the line for, and that's coming up right now.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast show with me, Mike Graham.
Okay, if you are still with us on Thursday night, we're going to say thank you to Alex Dyke. I think we're going to say Phil Dave staying with us.
Do you want me?
Lock the doors.
Lock the doors,
okay, and we're going to continue to take your calls on any subject, but I imagine a lot of them are going to be about James Wales. The number to call is 0344 499 1000. By the way, I think landlords do have a rough time, Alex, but there are some bad ones.
Tenants have a rough time sometimes as well. So maybe
but they deserve it. No. And we'll have your voicemails as well. We know we've got Mark, James, Rob, Claire, Lloyd, Ross, Peter, all left their memories. We'll be playing those.
I'm not kissing and making up with Alex. That's not going to happen. Oh, Alex, no tongues. Not this time, Alex. Okay, we are going to be back with myself, Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Phil Dave. And I think we're going to end up taking a lot of calls about James Whale. I think you've got some stories yourself, haven't you?
And
Phil?
if you haven't, make them up.
Make them up quickly. We'll be back just in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, before it goes any further, I want to say well done to Asher Gould for presenting the beginning bit. Obviously, that's got to have been difficult for you with James Whale. And I'm incredibly proud to sit next to Asher. Obviously, we were thrown together because of James's illness. But, you know, good things do come by accident occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's really good, isn't it? And it was nice to talk about him, isn't it? And tomorrow we're going to have a happier show tomorrow. We've got loads of... But, look, we got loads of voicemails. Let's go at one of them, because we've got a few to go through. Let's hear what Mark left on the answer machine.
Right, keeping this under a minute.
Yeah.
Hello, Ash and
All right.
Andre. That was a wonderful tribute with regards to the Times thing that you said. Hi, Lizzie.
Hello.
One memory of James. I do intend to do this. Is that I've actually tweeted this to you anyway. He did actually say to me, we were talking about animating you at one point on Polytunes, as you probably guessed by now.
Oh, yeah. It's Polytunes.
He said to me, do it, but be reasonably kind. And actually that threw me. That completely threw me. So I haven't done it, but there's plenty of legacy clips out there, so you can expect a memory of your own.
Oh, thanks.
Just my homage to him and you.
That's Polytunes. I've retweeted his cartoons. There's some brilliant cartoons of all the on Twitter.
Why don't we leave the voicemails for now and go to Phil in Worthing? Phil, you're on talk.
Yeah.
Oh, good evening, Andre. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm fine. I'm proud that Ash has got through the beginning of the show, which was obviously a bit of a difficult time for him after 30 years, but we're getting there, aren't we?
Absolutely. May I say, gentlemen, I've been watching the programme for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm so sorry, Ash, and I'm so sorry for your loss with James. I've got to be honest. I'm going to be really brutally honest now. I didn't really like the guy.
Well, break it to us gently.
And the first call of the James Whale.
Well, are you going to add something to that, or is that the end? Is that the? Are you going to add something nice now?
Because you know, Ash, in Birmingham, we don't mince our words. I never saw eye to eye with him, but you know what I love about the guy? He had an opinion, and Andre, you have an opinion.
But what you're talking about is slightly different. When you said you never liked the guy, what you mean is you never agreed with the guy.
Exactly.
But actually, that's the purpose of this. You've got to remember something.
And you wouldn't fall out over a difference of it. Well, you might do a bit, but you'd leave friendly on friendly terms and call back.
We're not here to politically campaign. When we express an opinion, the reason we express an opinion is because we're trying to get the discussion going. Therefore, you don't have to agree with us.
But can I just say, Andre, the way, Andre, you're developing as a host over the last 2 years has been absolutely incredible.
Oh, thanks so much.
I think you're going to go on to be a very mature host moving forward.
You mean he's not now mature?
Well, I've come a long way, haven't I?
He's
dyed his hair.
I was going to say he sorted his hair colour out.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, the reality is there's no point in sitting in James Whale's seat, A, when he was ill and then when he died, and pretending you're anywhere near. But, obviously, the opportunity that James gave me by asking me to fill in when he wasn't around has helped me develop. And I've come to this, obviously, a lot later in life. I didn't start... You started after school, didn't you?
You've got Paula in Halifax, who I know you love as well, Ash. She's such a lovely lady.
He doesn't like her.
I don't know why she phones up just to have a go. I mean, it's like, are you worried about James? No, I'm worried about how much I hate Andre. Oh, great.
Lads, when you think about this program, how many channels on this on the United Kingdom can you?
How many Cheryls?
And actually get through and talk to people.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that James was extremely passionate about, and he said to me, I don't know whether this was spin or whatever, but he said that when he did his first phone in and he discovered the desk, which is the system we operate here, when he discovered that he could put through calls, somebody phoned him up, he was rude to them and thought he'd get sacked, but then they actually quite liked it, the radio station. Phil?
And the rest is history, so...
Anyway, let's go to a great friend of the show. It's time for Hallelujah, and the first time since Jane's not with us, Ken in London. What you got to say, Ken?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I would like to talk about the potential Muslim takeover of the United Kingdom.
Go for it. While it's still legal, you can talk about it.
Yeah, for the next 3 weeks.
The latest statistics. The statistics are amazing.
Yeah.
The Mayor of London is a Muslim. The Mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The Mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is a Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield.
Can I just pull you up? Can I just pull you up on that? Sorry, Ken. Can I just pull you up on that? I've seen that piece of paper myself. It is slightly misleading. What it does is there is the mayor. This is Tony Blair's stupid reforms. The Mayor of London is an executive mayor, Sadiq Khan, and he is a Muslim. The other people that are listed on that list, as an example, the Lord Mayor of Birmingham, which is only a one-year term, was a Muslim guy, but he's not actually the person that runs Birmingham City Council. Mind you, neither does the council these days. But when you were going through all of those people, a lot of them don't have executive power. They're honorary positions like the Queen, and many of them are not in office this year.
But there is sectarian voting going on. I mean, there's no doubt.
The point is, that the statistics reveal is that this amazing political takeover of 7 English cities has been achieved. This is amazing by only 4 million Muslims out of.
Well, okay, yeah, but can I say this to all of you? And I'm going to say this quite genuinely. Everybody knows that I'm critical of third world immigration, and I will call out Islam where Islam needs to be called out. However, I will say that in my own borough, Windsor and Maidenhead, I personally ran the campaign for a guy called Asghar Majid to be the first Muslim mayor of a royal borough. And I have to say to you, in all honesty, he's a sensible person. He's not one of these people that supports, this sort of jihadi agenda. He's a moderate, ordinary
and
conservative.
British culture.
And I have to say to you, I think the fact he was a Muslim benefited the borough.
Yeah, but I was going to say, this does...
let me just explain a bit further here now. I'm talking about a takeover of our nation. There are now over 2,000 mosques in England. There's over 100 Sharia courts in England. There's over 50 Sharia councils in England. We have been taken over...
OK, Ken, stop there. Ken, just stay there for a second. I want to say this to you because... Right, so Ken's going to stay on the line and we'll chat in a second. What I was going to say... Sorry, Ken, give us a second. I want to ask...
It's a listen show.
I want to
ask... It's a conversation, it's not a rant.
I want to ask Phil Dave about this because... Ken makes a reasonable point. So first of all, the infrastructure of a foreign culture is being constructed in Britain. So if you believe, so we can talk all day about ethnic minorities, but the Huguenots were also Christians, and there weren't many Jews, right? So you can't talk about there being this huge multicultural society for a long time. But here's what I want to focus on with you, and it's something that Ken raised, and I've completely about-faced on it. Originally, what I always said was this idea of having your own arbitration through your own religion, I thought was a legitimate thing. John Major changed the law so it was backed up more steadily by the law. I have to say now, I believe that Sharia courts ought to be abolished. The reason is because there's too many of them and they're arbitrating too many disputes. Now, what I used to do when I was a little boy was if there was a dispute in our village, then quite often the priest would be helpful in mediating a solution to it. No doubt that happens with synagogues and mosques or whatever. But I have to say, the fact that now we have areas in Britain where there is effectively a different legal system because of Sharia courts, that is a problem. Now, that would be a problem for me if it was a Christian court, a Jewish court, a Buddhist court. What's your thoughts?
Totally. I think, listen, as long as it is purely for religious belief purposes only and nothing to do with it affecting the law of the land.
So you mean like marriage and stuff like that? It could be.
It's very simple. Any religious ceremony needs to be backed up by some sort of official marriage document as well. It's not just a case of even with Christianity.
Because this goes beyond. I mean, you're a Jew, I'm a Christian, but this goes beyond going to your rabbi and seeking advice. This means that there are whole areas of Burnley and Manchester and Birmingham where literally the British courts don't arbitrate disputes, a Sharia court does it instead. And that was not the intention of the legislation.
No, but if they arbitrate a dispute that's amongst, say, for example, 2 individuals of Muslim heritage and it resolves it, and then it doesn't necessarily have to go through, if you like, mainland courts and then cost taxpayers money, well, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. But my point would be, I don't have an issue with whatever religion someone wants to practice. Knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. But it's when they start inflicting it on others. And I can understand why people like Ken and others are concerned by what they see with the rise of Islam in this country. But what I don't understand is how people can't distinguish the difference, because I see this with Judaism all the time, is why people can't distinguish the difference between fundamentalism, which of course is the terrorist threat to others, and people who are just practicing their religion.
Ken still there, so don't worry. But let me throw this back to you and just make my point once again. Everything that you've just said, I would have agreed with a while ago. But now I think, ironically, the sheer popularity of Sharia courts is the reason why we need to get rid of them. Because what worries me is, in an environment where a particular area is now just one religion and one ethnicity, i.e. the Pakistani bits of Bolton, if you now have your own courts, your own separate policing system, which we already know exists, your own system, your own religion, your own language, your own culture, it starts to feel like a tribal area.
You'll have your own government of that area.
So my argument is, and I'll put this back to Ken, even in cases where it's two Muslims legally settling their disputes, I think Sharia courts need to be abolished now.
Well, let me, Andre.
Yeah, go for it.
A few years ago, I used to preach in Blackburn. I went to Blackburn right in the city centre twice, a number of times. Twice I went there, I was surrounded by Muslims and told to get out of the place. I had no right to preach about Jesus in Blackburn. Another time I went, I was surrounded by young Muslim kids who took off my hat, were shouting, cursing and swearing at me because I was a Christian when I was preaching. This happened in Blackburn.
But their attitude, Ken, their attitude is, and this is what we have created, not them, we have created it, as far as they're concerned, that is a Muslim city, a Muslim town, therefore Christianity is not welcome, because we've not got a multicultural society, we've got tribal areas.
And the police back up, I've seen the police arresting Christian preachers and,
go for it, Ken.
That attitude has been increasing. All the soldiers that are moving in over the channel. These are soldiers who are coming here, Muslim soldiers, young fighting men. They're going to support here, and when they increase more and more, then they will become more and more noisy and violent. Let me say this: I've studied Islam for a while. The agenda of Islam is to force the UK and every nation on earth to submit to the false god of Islam, Allah, and the false prophet, Muhammad. That is their agenda.
But your agenda, your agenda is to get the whole of the United Kingdom to follow the religion of Christianity and the prophet of Jesus.
My agenda is to tell people about the love of God, and God offers us all forgiveness and salvation. That's my agenda. But listen to this. God is now saying to this...
And that's Ken in London on talkTV.
Can I just say, but therein actually sort of lies the problem, is that unfortunately and I understand Ken's concerns, because I think a lot of people have those concerns, but it would point out that you can't go around sort of saying that just because someone believes in one religion that they are wrong, and yet when you believe clearly, passionately in another religion that you are
but
right.
why can't I say I believe that Christian territories should be occupied by Christians and the Muslim areas can be occupied by Muslims.
I think it's a Christian country. I believe we should follow Christian law.
Always remember, we in the United Kingdom decided that Pakistan should be run by Pakistanis. Why have we decided that Africans should run England?
Yeah, listen, you're not going to hear any argument from me. I personally would like to say, and I'm speaking as you've already identified, that I am of Jewish heritage and Jewish faith. I believe that Christian countries should remain Christian.
I agree.
So you're not going to hear any argument from me.
There's a big difference.
But what I have a bit of a problem with is where, unfortunately, people are getting tarnished with the same brush. So what I was referring to, it's the same with Israel. What's going on in Israel at the moment is no more my fault than it is your fault.
But there is a big difference, and this is the thing that upsets me now. If you're in favour of uncontrolled immigration and all these sorts of things, that's fine. It's a legitimate political view. But don't cite the example of the Huguenots and the Jews as evidence of a multicultural society. Because let's be honest, okay, there are areas of Britain that look like Israel, but literally I can only think of three: Stamford Hill, Cheetham Hill, and Golders Green.
They don't really look like Israel. There's only 300,000 Jews.
It is not true to say that there were 1 million Huguenots a year arriving. It is not true to say that in one generation the Jewish population rose from 0 to 20%. Those things are not true.
No, for sure. And listen, but again, don't misunderstand me here. I understand all the concerns. My argument would be is that without a shadow of a doubt, multiculturalism is a disaster. Does not work. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. It's not possible. The reason why different cultures exist is because people have different beliefs. But multi-faith can
Yeah.
work.
And multiracial
and it
can
does
work.
And exactly, actually,
Yeah.
you're citing Israel as an example, but actually Israel is a prime example of
But
that.
also the
three Abrahamic faiths, actually, people don't believe this, genuinely in mainland Israel live in peace.
I think the other point to make is there would be significant issues if 1 million Jewish people a year arrived, right? But
it depends what their intent is.
No, I disagree with that. I think actually there is a point at which volume becomes an issue. But when you're talking about Jewish people in Britain, you're talking about an established community of people who are fundamentally British, who practice a different religion. That's very different to 1 million people from the Islamic people coming over. And we act as if it's Judeo-Christian. It's not. It's the fact that A, these people are not foreigners, and B, there's not many of them.
Right, let's go to Grace. She's got the grace of God. She'll have something to add about this, won't you, Grace, in London?
So many things.
Morning.
First of all, condolences.
Thanks, Grace.
Yeah, so sorry. And that sounds in itself.
You had a lot of chats with James, didn't you?
No, but...
Well, you could have just agreed with me. I look terrible now.
I don't tend to lie.
No, but you you wouldn't, would you? But you've been called us a lot. I just thought you had because it's only last 6 months you've really been calling us regularly.
Yeah. I know it's completely mad in how it sounds, but I came to conclude when I really read about the historical accounts of the resurrection that Jesus actually did rise, and I can't get my head around it, but it seems actually that is what happened, and given that God created the laws of nature, he can overrule them, and I don't think that the Christian movement would have come into existence in the way that it did had people not seen Jesus rise from the dead and seeing his...
But people even in this modern day and age wake up in the mortuary. Back then they didn't even have sight. Couldn't it have just been, he wasn't really dead?
No, I mean, the Romans were flipping good at making sure that people were dead, and they stabbed him.
Although I will say one thing, and I know that not everyone's familiar with the New Testament in detail. Let's just be clear. When Jesus bowed his head and died, which is an unusual turn of phrase, his effective chief of staff went to Pontius Pilate and said he's died in record time, and then a Roman centurion was told to stab him to check he was definitely dead. But amazingly, when he stabbed him, rather than blood coming out, just water came out, so there was no blood from the stabbing. Then Jesus, hang on a second. Jesus' chief of staff then took him away and rolled him and put him into his death chamber himself. I think there is an element of this story which you could interpret a different way as a cunning escape.
But also the other thing with crucifixion, because it was practiced all over the Roman Empire, they used to leave you to die and you would rot, your body would rot, but because they had local laws and they didn't want to riot, because in the Jewish religion you got to be buried within a day, they actually cut them down early, but that wasn't the normal procedure in crucifixion, so that was also another, reason he wasn't allowed to just rot and die on the cross.
Anyway, Grace, were you calling about the resurrection?
My point, and water came out of Jesus' side because we know now that the blood separates out after death, so it was plasma. But my point is that if it's true, and I'm not expecting people to just believe me, I only came to believe it after I'd read a lot. I particularly recommend the book Who Moved the Stone. I'm not expecting people to believe me, but if it is true that Jesus defeated death, then that is more significant and important than national identities or different tribal groups that we have in our minds. When I don't disagree with Ken that it is very concerning that there are Sharia courts. I would ban them. I would ban cousin marriage and various things. But I am most concerned about whether or not people decide for themselves to follow Jesus. And I personally am more interested in people thinking about him than about being really scared about Islam. I don't fear Islam.
I mean, I'll tell you what, we're
stronger.
We're going to have to go to a break now, but I'll tell you what I worry about, genuinely, and I think you've heard what I've had to say. I'm not saying that I dislike any particular person. I just say that we should not be overrun as a country. I believe that Britain should remain British. And, I found myself saying this the other day, Asher, to somebody. I went to Wales and I said, blimey neck, I can't believe it. It's very British, Wales, isn't it? It's still like Britain. And then you think to yourself what that means. I genuinely do not support the idea of Lahore becoming an English-speaking Christian city under Christian colonisers. I don't agree with that either. More next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, well, let's go straight to the voicemails, and I think we've got a message from Lloyd.
Hey guys, it's Lloyd, the engineer from talkTV and all our other radio stations. Just thought I'd send you a voice message just to say how I met James, obviously, at work quite a few times, and unfortunately I got diagnosed with cancer in April, but he really helped me through my chemo. I was very scared about having it, and I had a few hours conversation with him over the past few weeks, so I'm very grateful for everything he did for me, and I'll miss him very much, but he really helped me out. So he helped everyone, and I'll always eternally be grateful for his help.
And he always...
See you soon.
He thought you were helping him out as well, Lou. You know, you helped each other out because you're both going through this terrible thing.
There's a cruel irony, Asher, which is this, that cancer sufferers across the country have benefited from James Whale getting cancer. It's an awful paradox, isn't it? That on the one hand it was terrible for him, but because A, he talked openly about it, and B, he raised money, it was good.
But he found it a therapy as well by doing that, didn't he? Do you know what I mean?
But I'd imagine that there will be a lot of people, and I'm sure, you know, I dare say, look, I obviously know Lloyd, and I dare say that he will say if this is or not the case, but I would imagine that there will be people who have got cancer at the moment and will be unnerved by what has happened to James. But I would put it to you, and it's very easy for me to sit here and say this, but he was very ill for, expected like even 20 years ago not to be here, and that's how well he fought and how long he lasted.
That's why he spent all his money.
And actually, I kind of sort of put it to you that he's kind of given a lot of people who have cancer hope of surviving longer than anticipated.
Well, even in the 20 years when he got it, there was a lot more that they could do than they could, you know, the 20 years before. Right, let's go to Stefan. Stefan in Wolverhampton.
Good evening.
Morning.
Good morning, sorry.
Time to get up, rise and shine, everyone. Time to go to work. What's up, Stefan?
Well, you know, all seriousness, you know, big condolences. And, you know, Ash, I've been listening to you really for more than 20 years. It used to be Tommy Boyd the weekend, James Whale on the weeknights.
That's right,
good memories.
Yeah,
but
amazing
you know what?
times.
I just want to offer some sort of word of condolence, and I don't know if this will help anybody listening who's, you know, gone. We've all been touched by death at some point. But if you rewind the clock 100 years to somebody that dies in 1925, you know, you'll have your memories of them, but there might be, you know, a picture of them in the newspaper, a letter that they wrote or something. But with all the media and the technology we've got today, I don't know how many thousands of hours of footage of James Whale exists, but it's like, it's almost as if they never quite die in the same way nowadays. Do you know what I mean? You could watch James Whale every day.
We could actually recreate him with AI now and actually tweak it a bit to make him even better. I mean, Nadine said that, Lady W. It's a comfort, you know, and there's new videos and stuff going on there all the time. So, yeah, you're right. There's so much out there to remind you of him.
Definitely. There's one memory before I go that I would love if this exists somewhere.
Yeah.
This is, again, more than 20 years ago, was where James was introducing a Danish guy who had a website where people could buy back their items that had been stolen. And James Whale did the intro, didn't let the guy speak, and just decided, you know what, this website's scum, you're a scumbag, and hung up the phone.
He did hate burglars with a passion, you know, because he did get burgled, and he used to well, we all hate burglars, but, you know.
I want to watch the UFO person. Can we watch the UFO person tomorrow?
We had loads we had all the big ones. We had Tony Topping, of course, that was the big
I
one.
respected you. You've provided no evidence.
We had Timothy Good on. We had Alex, you know, the InfoWars guy used to come on regular before he become Alex Jones, before he became the big... We had that guy who does all the...
Isn't Alex Jones that Welsh woman off the One Show?
We never had her on. Anyway, look, we've got the Tony Topping UFO being thrown out guy. He's ready. We're going to watch this. Let's all watch this together and run it. Let's have a look at this.
That one there? No, that's a visual of the UFOs over my house. That's an actual visual analysis.
Can you see that? Two little white spots?
James, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not happy with the way the interview's going. I feel you are taking the mick out of me. That's my artwork.
It's proof. Sorry,
that's
it's
my
proof.
artwork,
Proof.
James. You're insulting
It's
my
proof.
artwork.
That's proof. You just told me that's
my
proof.
art. That's my art. Goodbye.
You said that was your proof. Good riddance. No, you're fine. You've got no answer.
You're a disgrace.
Bye-bye.
My point was this.
Ted, take him out.
Gone off on the wrong
Ted, take
foot.
him out. You had the chance. You wanted it shown. Then go. Be very disappointed and go.
Let's be clear. You've mocked my artwork.
How many more times? Good.
I'll leave it with you.
Good. You carry on.
Nice to meet you, man.
Goodbye.
Nice to meet you.
Honestly. You know, what is wrong with these people who believe these ridiculous things?
Quite liked him.
And they go, and don't hang around in the control room and let him start talking to everybody else, or I actually will come out and sort things. Sorry about that, Wayne.
You didn't use your buzzer, actually. I was thinking you
should have done that, shouldn't I? Yeah.
I mean, that's
I like
my
James's
artwork.
jacket in that.
That's my artwork. That's your proof. That's my artwork.
Well, that's nice to meet him, now.
Do you know what? But honestly, this is. I just think it's hilarious. The number of people that sort of between you and James, Ash, that you sort of stumbled across, who basically, let's be honest, are bonkers.
Yeah,
And
we seem to attract them like a moth to a light.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Yeah,
that one that looked like Boy George.
Yeah, but they're very good at hiding and seeming normal.
And then they
at
seem
first.
shocked when he doesn't buy into it.
Yeah, they're delusional.
I think
like these people.
here's my theory. I think it's like when people appear on the X Factor and
they think they're really good
and
singers,
they're quite surprised because I think everybody in their local karaoke just goes, "Oh, just don't argue with them. Just agree they're brilliant, right?" Whereas that woman who'd married a cat. I mean, you know, when any level of scrutiny.
A one-legged cat called Elvis.
Shall we listen to a voicemail from Rob? Let's listen to one of the voicemails. Rob, take it away.
Bob.
James Whale changed my life, and I believe it. Let's go back to about 1997, 1998, the original talk radio, the interactive station.
Yeah.
Most of us don't have access to the internet at this point. This station was our window on the world. James would get callers from all over the UK arguing about the issues of the day. But he'd also have those fun features. Reverse speech technology.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
I now know what Neil Armstrong was thinking when he landed on the moon. Guests would pop by. Here's Uri Geller, Melinda Messenger, Ken Livingstone. The dominatrix was there, Ash was there, and don't forget to flog the prisoners at 10:30.
Yeah.
All this, to a 12, 13-year-old me, was exciting. It was fun. It was dangerous, and I knew I wanted to do what James did. I figured out I probably was only ever going to be one James Whale, so I thought, I'll try something else. I'll try journalism. I'll try TV. It worked. And thanks to James Whale, he really was the king of speech radio.
So
I wonder who that was.
Was that Rob Brydon or something?
I was to say, I think Rob's been influenced via voiceover.
Was that Rob Brydon? Maybe
Who
it
was
was Rob
that?
Brydon, because I know he did meet Rob Brydon. Well, to phone back and let us know who it was. Have we got a little breaky here, have we?
Oh.
Let's go to Karen before. Karen in Stirling, she's been waiting a long time. Hi, Karen, morning. Is it morning in Scotland yet? They're a couple of hours behind, aren't they? Hi, Karen.
Hello, you too.
How you doing? How about you? No, that's
I've been
Irish.
there, bye. It's been a hard week, because what happened to James.
Yeah.
Kim, I want to say,
Yeah.
I want to say that James always said that
What?
you've got electricity in your body and it's got to go somewhere. And Kim, I always believe that.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's
even
what Uri
if-
Geller would say, that, and James, that's what he thought, yeah. He was very spiritual.
See when a person passes, right?
Yeah.
And you look at their body, right? I had to do that one day, and it was like just a case. Whoever, you know, it was mental.
We've got electricity in our bodies. Does that mean we can save a fortune on the bills?
You could if you could work out. You get one of those generator bikes. And,
Gas. You produce natural gas.
Yeah, eat a lot of it. You know, you can tell it gets a lot warmer when Phil's in.
No, I was just thinking.
That's the sort of thing that would upset him. That's the sort of thing that would upset him.
I'm full of hot air. I can't help it. But I can't help but think as well that if that this means that we've been wasting our time with all these solar panels. We've got the electricity inside us by the sound.
Well, you've
of
got a
it.
solar panel on your head, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's very reflects a lot of it.
Anyway, look, we've got a little breaky 03. Well, we won't be able to time for calls. We've got some more messages.
No. Let's go to Claire and then go to the break.
Play Claire.
Claire.
On the Panasonic.
Hi, it's Claire from Buckley.
Yeah, we said
My
that.
memory of James is I called up one night. I can't even remember what the subject was that I called up about. Anyway, me and James had a lovely chat. All of a sudden, Ash popped in and said, "You're from Buckley? Didn't a World War II plane crash into one of the lakes called the Trap round there?" I ended up being on the phone for about 20 minutes chatting to Ash with James about this World War II bomber and me living in Buckley in North Wales. Lovely memories. What a great guy. Really gonna miss him.
Okay, well, let's
I can't remember that at all.
I can't believe you can't remember something crashing in the trap.
But can I just say that it does sound like something you do, but I have to tell you that's precisely why I love late night radio, is because that is a classic example. You phone up about one thing, you end up talking about another. It's like your old friends. I love it.
I've got to say, it is good fun simply because, and I know they always say this, and it's a cliche, but the daytime presenters are under so much pressure to get through things so quickly, whereas we can just have a bit more fun. Now, look, it's less of a newsy show as a result, but anyway, we enjoyed it.
Hard on yourself.
It's nice to have that, to spread out and have a chat.
No, the worst things that happened to me was we were doing the Saturday night talk away, right, with Danielle Nichols, and she turned up looking voluptuous, and there was almost somebody tried to kill somebody tried to kill Vladimir Putin before the show, right, and then we had Beanhead on when somebody shot Donald Trump, and we were going to go, can you imagine, had Donald Trump been killed, God forbid, we'd had to go to Beanhead for his analysis.
We had once, I remember when the Iran war broke out the second time, and we had Kato from the Pink Panther films in on the studio, so we had him talking about it, which was actually quite fascinating. Anyway,
my favourite bit about that attack, Yevgeny Prigozhin.
He's trying to go to break.
Sorry, all right.
No, hold that thought, and everyone will stay now for that one. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. And I was just saying that some of the bad moments, because obviously we're talking about the fact James Whale is sadly no longer with us. Well, sorry, is with us in spirit, but no longer with us in person. But we're saying about the fact that late night radio, suddenly stories can break, and you've got to go to them, even though you're doing some mad shit. Well, Yevgeny Prigozhin was attacking Vladimir Putin, and we were there, right? So we got a text message to say Rupert Murdoch and Rebecca Brooks were watching the show. So we had to go live, and obviously Danielle's an entertainment person, so he said, Andre, dig deep. Right, dig deep. You can do this. So with no script, not really knowing what's going on, I'm going to go live and present now a 2-hour show about Yevgeny Prigozhin, a man I'd never heard of until about one day before. And then as I sat down, they went, yeah, he stopped. What do you mean he stopped? And 5, 4, he stopped, what do you mean? So I literally had to present a show in which Yevgeny Prigozhin was attacking Vladimir Putin, but he'd stopped doing it, and all the bosses were watching.
Well, he changed his mind.
He did. He changed his mind.
I better stop.
He was
too far this time.
He was marching on Moscow, and then 2 minutes before my show, he changed his mind.
The bloke who got killed in the plane crash.
Yeah, the Wagner group. The head of the Wagner
But anyway,
group. Yeah.
what was Phil? Before we go to the next call, what was your craziest thing that you ever saw with James Whale, or was it all just?
It was all bonkers. I sort of obviously have a.
See, my favourite thing's the UFO thing.
Well, I definitely have this distinct memory of him being dressed up as Ali G. That's stuck in the mind. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I suppose just for me, it actually goes back further, because I suppose it obviously. Look, I was quite a bit younger when the James Whale radio show was on TV back in the day, but I still.
Do you mind me asking how old are you?
I don't mind at all. I am 39.
So actually, so you would be quite little when James was
about 6.
Yeah, but I still do recall. You know, I mean, if it was a case of I don't know, sort of sneaking downstairs and the parents were watching TV or something like that. You know, and actually, a memory of that was a while back. My mother and I were lucky enough to go to a charity.
By the way, we've got someone out there who's known you many years says you're lying that you say you're 39.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's just put that out there.
Who's that?
Adam there.
Oh, is he? What?
Adam's going to come on. He's a witness of you for many years. He's known you for 44 years.
I was going to say the problem is. Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's mid-40s.
Mid-40s, oh, I see. No, okay.
And the rest.
I'm not mid-40s. I might look it, but I'm not.
I mean,
but the no, I was going to say was in terms of I actually went to this charity launch, and James was there as well, and I sort of obviously said hello to him and then introduced him, and he was so lovely, and my mum was just so overwhelmed at how nice he was.
So that surprised me, because you are in awe of some of these people who are really, really huge. But actually, right, can we just clarify before we go to the next caller, what happened with the bomb squad?
Well, what happened? Someone sent in a fake bomb, and
oh my God!
And James
to you, addressed to you.
Yeah, it was right behind me, and so the police evacuated all around Oxford Street. It was when we were at 76 Oxford Street in the very early days, and James said, "No, we're going to stay." And the police said, "Well, all right, but you can't leave this studio." Anyway, I thought, well, there's no one around. I'll go and nip it out of a fag. And then there was a copper in the stairwell, and he said, "You can't go back." And that's why Whale was on his own. And then the bomb squad did come. And
so did he basically say, "I'm not stopping the show because there's a bomb in the studio"?
Yeah, exactly. It was next to me. It wasn't near him. I would have taken all the blast. So that's why, that was it. But
dedication in the extreme.
It sounds like an act of heroism, except for the fact that Asher was in the way of the bomb.
Jumping over the grenade. But the bomb squad came, and they immediately looked at it. No, the police didn't know, but the bomb squad came, and they went, just picked it up, and they went, "No, it's not real." You know what I mean? So, and we had all it, and people like someone asked me, "What's the most shocking moment?" And the thing is, you were always expecting a shocking moment, so nothing was shocking in the end. I was trying to think of one, and there wasn't. We had ambulances in.
What do you think the public were most shocked by? I mean, the Boris Johnson thing wasn't that bad.
They saw someone thrown off there.
Yeah, throwing out the studio, people like
because that was up until then. We'd always sort of seen, I suppose, awkward interviews. You know, you think of the Grace Jones interview with who did she
Des O'Connor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where it was like
Russell Harty.
Yeah, it was. Thank you. Yes,
Russell
that was
Harty.
it. Yeah.
Was it?
And we've seen walkouts before the Bee Gees.
Russell Harty and Grace Jones. You sort of see things like that, and of course it was awkward. But they lasted the course. They stood there and they carried on regardless, even if they didn't like it. And obviously Grace Jones attacking Russell Harty, but at the same time, that was probably as bad as it got. And then suddenly you sort of. James comes along, and then you see someone who's not prepared to take any nonsense, and if he doesn't like you, he throws you out of his studio, even if it means him sitting there talking to himself. But you guarantee that's sort of what actually made people tune in. Is because actually they knew he was real.
I bet you that's the interesting thing. So people ask me about the Mizzy thing all the time when I threw somebody out of the studio. It's amazing how much that takes resonance. But I'll tell you, Patrick Christie said to me, he said the difference is with what we do, what they do in the other place, is that we actually have to we have to have a knowledge of the subjects. If you get, no disrespect, but BBC Breakfast, they are just reading from an auto cue. So if they throw somebody out of the studio, they've got nothing to say. Whereas Whale will just keep going.
Whale could just keep going because he had that skill where he could just
Okay, should we go to Lee in Plymouth? Lee, you're on talk.
Lee!
Turn your radio off.
Lee! Oh, Lee, you've been biffed. I'm sorry.
Right, hold on.
Yeah, I'm literally holding on the line.
Yeah, all right, Lee, we're going to put you through in a minute to the lads. Have you turned your radio or TV down, Lee, to get ready to go on air?
No worries.
Carried on regardless.
We'll just wait for Lee to turn his radio down.
Turn the volume down.
Turn the volume down. Are you ready to go on air, Lee?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, you still hear it, Lee? We're not ready. Come on, Lee. Turn it down.
Do this. Thank you. You are through to the studio with Andre and Ash. We are going to connect you.
Lee!
After the beep. Beep!
Lee! Turn your radio down, Lee! Lee!
We can't keep doing this.
Lee! That's better. Now, hold on. Lee in Plymouth, you're on talk.
It's amazing how much...
Oh, for heavens.
All right, get rid of it. Let's take a little break. We'll be back in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
What amazes me about a call like that is that if you phone somebody up, right, and they're saying to you, hello, talk, what you're doing is ignoring what's on the phone and watching the TV instead. Just to explain to people who don't know, what you are listening to or watching is 14 seconds ago. That's so that if you swear, we can press the dump button and the public don't get to hear it. But people don't
hasn't worked so well this evening.
It doesn't work. People don't get it.
No, I mean the dump button. But yes.
Oh no, we let a bit of swearing.
But but the point is that if you're told to turn the TV or the radio off, it's not for the sake of hearing our own voices. It's genuinely because you won't be able to hear the conversation.
No. Anyway, we've got another voicemail on the Panasonic. It's Ross. Let's hear it. Press play, garçon.
Ash, the banter between you and James, it reminds me of Del Boy and Rodney. He looked on you like a little brother, and I am watching this where you're clicking at him, and he's telling me, get that away from me, I don't like it. The respect that you're looking at him with, just amazing to see. The show will never be the same, but I know you will carry on his legacy, hosting the show yourself. No one will ever replace him, but you will always make sure that he lives on in all of us. Rest in peace, James. Best of luck to his family. Best of luck to you and all those at Talk TV.
Thanks, Rob.
Let's introduce the next person who's phoned up. I didn't know who was going to call, but if you've seen the pictures from James Whale's MBE party, you'll see that Charlie Mullins loaned a Bentley and a Rolls Royce. Now, the long and short of this is, because James was so disabled, he had to have somebody to drive him both in and out. And fundamentally, when it came to the MBE party, because that guy only had a BMW, there was an attempt for him not to do the driving on the day.
He had a long wheelbase BMW.
But James personally intervened and said, I want my driver to drive me because it's a big honour for him as well to go into the castle with his boss. So on that day, on the MBE day, the Bentley was being driven by Andy. So Andy calls now from Maidstone. Andy, how are you?
All right, Andy.
Morning, guys.
How you doing,
really
man?
good,
Because
thanks.
Andy used to bring him in for the shows for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, didn't you, Andy?
Yeah, that's 4 years nearly.
4 years, wow.
Driving him.
Very reasonable rates.
Apparently so, yeah.
So what's your memories, Andy? I mean, it must have hit you quite hard because you really got to know him in the last 4 years, then.
Yes, pretty much every week. Brought him up to the studio.
I mean, you were more than his driver. You really helped him out. You go for secret burgers together, didn't you, on the way home? A quarter pounder he liked.
I don't get that from my Uber drivers.
Yeah, no.
Mind you, to be fair, I think it's worth pointing out that whilst James could be modest, Andy and his car is quite an expensive product.
It was a lovely long wheelbase BMW. Yeah, go on, tell us some stories, Andy. Tell us about you and Whale.
James is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Actually, he's always treated me so well from day one.
Yeah. He got you the quarter pounder.
How did you end up as his driver, Andy? Because I mean, by the end of it, you were almost like a private secretary because you'd organised a lot with the MBE party, not just the driving. But
you're his PA, really.
But how did you actually meet him? How did you get the job?
Well, actually, in a previous life, I used to be a truck driver.
Right.
And I was a fan.
And he used to hang around the truck stops.
His previous driver retired, and he was sort of handed over. And first time I met James, didn't know that I was driving him. Opened the door, and it was. But I heard James, well, this is going to be hard work. His reputation preceded him.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah.
Within an hour, we'd got this mutual respect between us, I think, and history.
Because he became.
But that must have been really surreal for you, Andy. If you were like sort of someone who was a fan of his, and then suddenly you wind up driving him, that must be.
Well, a lot of the truckers used to listen to us. You know, they all used to listen to us on the road.
Yeah, no, it was back in Talk Sport days, LBC days. It was the only thing, nighttime radio.
Yeah.
There was nothing else on, and he just kept everybody awake at night.
Yeah.
Probably
had that effect.
Can I ask you this?
It's like your personal radio show in the car.
This question, Andy. That day when obviously, I mean, you stayed at my house actually, but you stayed at my house and
exclusive
and took the Bentley to pick up James at Coworth Park, drove him then to Windsor Castle, then drove him to drove him to the Ritz, and then to Langhams. What was that like for you? Because obviously you weren't collecting a medal yourself, but there was a sense of pride, wasn't there?
Oh, that was probably one of my proudest moments, actually. Driving through London in that Bentley was something special.
Lovely blue Bentley, yeah.
Driving up the mile into Windsor Castle was something else. It's one thing I will never forget.
You didn't scratch it, did you?
I didn't actually.
Well done.
And we have to say full credit to Charlie Mullins just to explain what really happened. Charlie Mullins offered his 2 cars and his drivers, but of course what James said was, I want my actual driver to do it. So to be fair to Charlie Mullins, I know he's a wealthy guy, but he didn't have to do this. He'd loaned £1 million worth of cars, but he also insured you specially for the day so you could drive it and organised the car parking.
And he paid the best part of 100 grand for the whole do at Langhams. And the thing is, with James, he really missed driving because he was a good driver. He was incredible. You wouldn't think it, but he was a great driver. We'd go out sometimes and he'd drive us around, and he really missed that because the last 2 or 3 years, he wasn't allowed to drive. I think because of the brain tumours, he was banned from driving. So,
but he liked it. He liked his cars as well because he had some sort of classic Mercedes convertible, I think, for a long time.
The old one. But before that, when I first worked with him, he had this big white Mercedes. I think he splashed out a bit. With the white wheels and the big...
So what was it you talked about? Did you talk about cars when you were driving him home?
Because it was like an hour and a half drive, wasn't it, each way?
We literally talked about everything. Cars, work, the show, past experiences. There was nothing that he wouldn't talk about.
How hard will it be for you now? Because there's no point in saying that you were just his driver. He was more to you than that. But obviously now that relationship, if you like, comes to an end. What will you do next? I mean, it must be a big part of your life that's disappeared.
I suppose I'm redundant now. So anybody who needs a driver, you know where I am.
Yeah, well there you go. I mean,
it's going to be. It's hard. This week's been actually particularly emotional for me. Actually.
Yeah. Well, you really were close with him in the last few years.
What have been your movements? Because I know obviously somebody like Asher was invited to the house. Obviously, I wasn't as close to James, so I wasn't. But you've spent a lot of time with him since he's no longer coming to talk.
I was pretty much welcome whenever I turned up. I was always welcome.
Yeah.
Obviously, I saw him at the hospice as well.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Couldn't say my goodbyes though.
Why not?
One thing I couldn't do.
You couldn't do it. I know. I found that hard when I was put on. You don't want to say goodbye. You know what I mean? You just don't want to, do you? You always, and it might not be goodbye. You never know.
No,
do you?
I just said to him, "I'll see you next week."
Yeah.
As I always did.
Lovely, man.
And unfortunately, that week never came.
No.
But you know what you did in that one moment there? You probably actually sort of let him think that he could carry on. I'm not being funny, but
he liked normalising the situations.
By saying goodbye to somebody is actually sort of almost encouraging them to give up. I know that there was no choice. I know that obviously we knew that James was coming to the end, but at the very least, by treating him like that was actually being normal, he would have preferred that, no doubt.
But even to the end, he was still James Whale.
Yeah. He didn't change, did he?
Even to the end.
Yeah, he stayed as he was. Yeah.
He was still.
And I presume you do have one final duty. I mean, one would assume that you will drive Nadine on the day of the funeral.
Yes, that was one thing I said I'd always do for him, and probably Paul Bear as well. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Excellent. I think so. We were discussing who'd be asked to be the pallbearer, and I'd be very disappointed if you and Asher were not asked. And then we'll see beyond that.
We'll see what happens, man. It's up to.
All right, Andy. Well, look, I just want to say, I think on behalf of the Talk Radio, Talk TV family, and on behalf of the people that work with James, thank you so much for your service to him. Thank you for taking him to all of the hospital appointments, and thank you for driving him round. And it's great to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, we've got 1 minute. We're going to go to Tristan in Southend for the final comments on the show.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call.
That's all right,
I'll keep it brief. Firstly, I'm really, really sorry to Andre. I can tell that my lobbying's getting on his nerves, so I apologise.
No, that's how you have to do it. That's how you do lobbying. No, you're fine, Tristan.
Right. I just want to say I've got through to James on 6 occasions over the years, and I must belong in the Guinness Book of Records because he agreed with every word I was saying and never buzzed me off the show.
No, that's impressive. So what you're going to do, you're going to have emblazoned on your headstone when you die, the only man James Whale ever agreed with.
But that's how much it means to you. You knew exactly at 6 calls that you'd rang in.
Yeah,
See, you know what I mean?
absolutely. Lovely guy. So I know you've only got a minute, so shall I leave it there?
No, can you fill for another 30 seconds? Another 30 seconds, please.
No, we're gonna say thank you to Tristan from Southend, and his lobbying doesn't bother me at all.
No.
We're gonna say thank you to Dave Phil or Phil Dave,
Whichever
which
way
is
around you want, I don't
which is
mind.
his actual name. No, what's your other name? Go on.
It was no. I'm not. I tell you, don't worry about that because I'd rather actually just say very quickly.
Yes.
You know what you're talking about, sort of saying goodbye